And welcome everyone to Conqueror League Titan Esports. I am your play-by-play caster Melko, joined tonight by Freedom Potatoes to bring you all Apex Black versus Tilt Esports Ascension. And this is not only just any regular series of games, this is right into the playoffs, baby. And we are excited because this is going to be potentially a 5-game banger that we're going to be seeing tonight. So Freedom Potatoes, how are you feeling? Are you just as excited as I am?
Doing good, and I am excited. I'm excited for the prospect of a 5-game banger. As long as it may be, I think it really tests the players' champion pools. You know, we don't get to see people really get strained in a best of 3. You can usually still play something you're pretty comfortable on, and when you go deeper in there, that really tests if you've got that champion ocean or if it's just a puddle. So I'm excited to see how this one goes. It should be a pretty close matchup. These are the 8th and 9th seeds, respectively. So very close in the standings in their expected performance. I feel like prediction wise, I maybe lean slightly towards Team Apex Black. I think they've got just like slightly higher ranks. I think they've got a mid laner who has a very aggressive champion pool with the potential to take over games. But Tilt Esports, I haven't gotten to see them play this split myself, but they look like no slouches either.
And it's to my understanding that actually a lot of people are excited to see this matchup because they expect it to be consistently even in both of these games. Primarily, I believe that they wanted. Some people call it the jungle matchup as well. Considerably, wheelchair jungle on the side of Apex, or as he's known as wheelchair jungle, he has a considerable champion pool, as you were just mentioning. Actually, it might be considerably an ocean. He's one of those people who tends to play more for the team, but can also be that carry if necessary or if it is needed. And because of that veteran status that he has, and I've actually known him for quite some time, he's actually a very seasoned player. For this game in particular, it's gonna actually be something to overcome, because we have seen where in this particular league, you'll notice that the jungle can be a very big factor to how well these games go, and it's gonna be one hell of a matchup to see what's gonna happen between these two teams in that particular role. In particular, I I am all over the place just because of the fact that I'm hyped up off the caffeine. I'm ready for us to get into this draft, to get into these games, to get excited to see what these two teams are going to be able to bring us. I am ready to cast some exciting League of Legends, and we are right here into the draft, and I'm excited to see these picks, these bans. What are these two teams going to play into one another? Are we going to get some exciting stuff? Are we going to see these mages in the bot lane? Let's see what happens.
Was that supposed to be exciting stuff, or was that supposed to be the antithesis of exciting stuff, the mages in the bot lane? Because people have differing opinions there.
I think for some people, I love playing mages, so it makes me feel like I can play like 3 different roles between mid lane, bot lane, and like the 2 bot lanes of just support and ADC. So I feel like if you are somebody who plays like mages, you're like, cool, I feel very versatile. So I think for at least if you're a mage player, you're excited about it. But if you're a regular ADC, the traditional ADC player, your life is a living hell, and I feel so sorry for you. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at these bans real quick, as we do see Team Apex Black has banned on their side. It is going to be the Leona, the Nyla, and the Mordekaiser for them, as Team Tilt Esports Ascension is going to be banning out the Xin Zhao, the Rek'Sai, and the Echo. A lot of jungle bans going against Wheelchair Jungle there, as they do not want to allow him to be able to get this potential, the potential lead here in the jungle early in these games, and so they really target those bans towards him, as the Ornn is going to be the first pick for the side of Team Apex Black, securing that top side, and I think is a pretty decent blind pick on blue.
It does open yourself up to some of those counter picks, but they have banned away kind of the premier counter pick, the Mordekaiser there, which, you know, he just has a lot of built-in magic penetration, and is able to, you know, steal away the Ornn when he tries to call down the Call of the Forge God. So I like that draft strategy of banning away the counter picks and giving yourself the top lane early. I think that's a creative way to approach it. Most people kind of just open with the jungle or the ADC. We are seeing the Zehen and the Ivern as a response. Zehen with someone who can act like an enchanter in his pocket is going to be very strong. And so Apex is going to go even further into that hard engage identity with the Jarvan. They need to make sure they have some raw damage to back this up. And there it is with the Misfortune.
Honestly, they have a pretty big wombo combo on the side of Team Apex. You got the Horn, the Call of Forge God coming over with the Cataclysm, with the bullet time just raining everything down. They already are saying like, hey, we already know how to play this, and I love the immediate response with the Braum right there to try to deny as much of that wombo combo as possible. The Braum can block so much, and like basically a big counter to 2 champions on the side of Team Apex. So it was an immediate smart call from Tilt Esports to be able to say like, hey man, we have an immediate counter that we can pick, and they're not gonna ban out our support. So let's go ahead and be able to see, like, as long as JJ is nice, is actually able to, you know, pilot the Braum pretty decently, they're not going to have any issues here. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to pair with the ADC and the bot side for this, as we do see we get the Ashe being the first ban on the side of Team Apex Black to try to kind of go against Darterwolf there on the bot side of Tilt Esports, as they end up banning out the Rel and the Diana, and the final ban being the Jinx. So no potential hyper carry. Well, there are other hyper carries that they could pick here, but they wanted to make sure they could probably ban out the 2 safest champions that they could possibly use. Tilt Esports though, going with something a little bit more spicier, I feel, and not having the exact enchanter in lane, but we'll have it later on in those team fights, is going to be that Zeri there, and I do like that pick. It's like one of those other hyper carries that I was talking about, as the Rakan comes out in the response to for Nitro Kid here on the Team Apex Black. Again, still a lot of really good engage from the side of Team Apex, but man, it feels like the responses to like what they're doing here is the lock. Oh, okay, we're gonna get the locked in. Okay, I love seeing the new champions getting played a lot more, and it does feel like that's people have gotten the chance to pilot him a little bit more and more people have gotten better at him, and this is something I haven't seen in the longest time. And going into the mid lane of all places is going to be the Vladimir. This is some interesting team compositions. I really like this here.
I like both teams' drafts. I mean, Apex is really all in on that draft identity. I think the Rakan is a great response to the Braum. But I think Braum gets so much value against Team Apex. The Ornn and the Misfortune are both going to struggle into the Braum as long as he's patient with that wall. But that said, I think Locke is a champion that a lot of players still haven't adapted to. He can, you know, if he can build himself a lead, he can blow open the game and slip right past a lot of those defenses. I think for Tilt, they don't have the strongest engage themselves. They kind of want Team Apex to come into them and play the counter attack there. as we're seeing some action up by these Raptors here, but it's just going to be the ward and the back off there. I think Zeri is going to have a lot of work to do to evade the damage that's on the side of Team Apex, but if she can, she's going to be able to pump out so much damage in these team fights because Team Apex has a very committal team comp. Once they're in, there's not a lot of way out, and so if the Ivern and Braum are doing their job, I think Darterwolf is going to be in a great position this game.
And I think that's what they're kind of banking on, is that they expect that as long as their ADC can make it out of the laning phase without taking, too much brunt of, well, then again, Wilshire Jungle's probably going to try to make some type of cheesy level 3 gank onto the bot lane if there is an opportunity for it. Because putting this Zeri behind will probably be the nail in the coffin, I feel, for the side of Tilt Esports. If this Zeri is not going to be able to do anything from that backline, like you said, she takes too much damage. If she's in the brunt of too many fights, it's just not gonna go well for her. And then this is gonna kind of build Tilt Esports behind, because what else do they really have for substantial damage that's gonna be coming out that's gonna be consistent? I mean, Zahen can definitely do the extended fight potentially, and then Vladimir might be able to also do the extended fight with the ability to keep consistently life stealing and healing, but it might just not be enough if you don't have the damage coming out from your ADC. And again, this Wombo combo that we do see has a lot of damage dropped down on the Brady there from Tekio and the lock, getting all the procs down plus the electrocute. That looked devastating right there already. Lock is going to be pretty interesting to see how it matches up into Vladimir as well.
A lot of damage.
Wait a second. The ignite dropped under the turret, not going to get the kill. But whoa, that was real close. And Tekio feeling real confident on the lock right here.
Yeah, those early trades from Lock are so potent. Looks like there might even be a dive happening in mid.
Dive happening in mid. They're trying to catch him in between the turrets, but we were also catching the fight. But Feldy is gonna be here catching out Tekio. Tekio gonna have to activate the E, trying to get away, but they jump in. Flash able to slow him down. Flashes over the wall. Brady trying to catch up to him. Uses the pull right under Tekio, trying to go behind, but first blood going over to the Vladimir as Get It Wipo was attempting to help, but now they have to retreat as it's now a 4v3 and Wilshire Jungle not there in time to help, so you can be able to get a little bit more at the end of that fight. Well done by the side of Tilt Esports to be able to secure that first blood.
That was looking scary for Brady in the mid lane. Got so low off that ignite, but it looks like Tekio bit off a little more than he could chew with that dive. And even though the misfortune was there first, it felt like there was maybe a slight miscommunication. I think Tekio actually could have used his dash to get back to Nitro Kid for the shield and potentially live there. Instead, it is just a 1-for-0 in favor of Tilt Esports, but the Jarvan is looking bot.
Yeah, but he is seen on a ward, so Darterwolf, look, but the Flagon Dragon will land onto Darterwolf as Feldy is making his way down, trying to bait it into a 3v3. The Braum gonna be able to activate the Unbreakable, able to catch out Nitro Kid, almost gets the last proc of the concussive blows. Not gonna be able to do so though. They do back off. Feldy does want to keep helping to push this wave in and trying to continue a little bit more of the fight bot lane, but Wilshire Jungle backing off. It's looking like the two bot laners are not going to want to go anymore. But Tekio, so much damage from this lock early game. That's got to be annoying right now, especially as you're starting to see the 10 farm difference in the mid lane. I was expecting that maybe Tekio would struggle a little bit more on lock against Vladimir, but it seems like it's actually a pretty decent matchup.
I think the counter pick that Tilt is going for may come into play later. I haven't seen this matchup played before, but I could see the value in Vladimir being able to pool the burst from the lock and just offering generally good scaling if he can get through the lane. But in most matchups, Vladimir actually can struggle quite a bit early on. He doesn't have access to that low cooldown on his Q, which means, his sustain is actually not as great as some people think. And his damage is also pretty lacking in the early game. So Locke definitely going to have the upper hand for now, but I'm curious to see the impact of this Vlad in the team fights. I don't see a lot of games on it for Brady in solo queue or in Titan this split either. So I'm curious how comfortable he is on this champion.
I'm actually I was wondering like if that was particularly just like, hey, we're just getting the counter matchup, so we really want to just pick this into lock, and how, like you said, like how confident is Brady on this? Because right now, I'm not saying that he doesn't look confident on it, but there's consistently, look at that 1v1 now right under the tower, dashes in, and it's all over, and that's gonna be Tekio taking the solo kill in the mid lane.
I mean, maybe confidence isn't enough to face up into Locke, because I think that character does a disgusting amount of damage. Look at him going for the dive here.
Oh, goes in and gets it too. Electrocute procced, and you're getting shocked back into the afterlife. Ivern getting chopped down and sent to the gray screen. Another kill over to Tekio.
That is really not what you want in the early game. 4 stacks in the Dark Seal, 2 kills on the lock, despite giving over the first blood. Still up significantly in the early lane here, forcing Brady to build into that Null Magic Mantle there as well. And so it's going to take a little longer for that Vlad to come online, but that is some nice defensive stats. Gumi trying to take the fight up in the top lane, but nothing doing as the Ornn just dashes away. And so that is going to be the first dragon of the game claimed by Team Apex Black. We've got the grubs spawning in a little while, so that we may see the supports try to roam up there, but for now, I think it's going to be just business as usual across the rift.
Yeah, and this is this is actually a pretty interesting lane state because we did see the first kill go onto Unbreakable used, able to land the Winter's Bite onto Get It White Boy. We did see like in the early game, it felt like Feldy was actually roaming a lot more. Hold on, Call the Forge God gonna be able to land as the unstoppable as the ultimate comes out from Gumi. Gumi now wanting to take the fight onto the Ornn, but Ornn with the Bramble Vest actually being able to deter a lot of that healing from Gumi. Gumi with no passive does see Iron walking in, but will to jungle right behind. Might be able to get the flag and drag, calling for the on the way towards the Iron, but then backs off as they do back off as well. Stops the backs in the bot lane. There's a lot of action actually going on in this lane. Like, not a whole lot of kills, but a whole lot of action going on as Tekio going back in again, forcing the pull out of the Vladimir. And that's just, this has got to be just not a fun lane for Brady right now.
No, the pool at high HP, it feels really bad because it consumes your current health. You know, sometimes using it at the wrong time can actually deal more damage to you than if you just held it. And so I really want to see Feldy start getting, to that level 6, unlocking Daisy and being able to influence the map. Ooh, nice look from Tekio. Not going to be able to find it. But now Feldy has hit level 6, is the first of the 2 junglers to hit that mark, and so should be able to influence the map a little more. I think once this Ivern gets some items online, he'll be able to mitigate a lot of what Team Apex is trying to do, but there is definitely a lack of CC on Tilt Esports' side to deal with this highly mobile assassin in the mid lane. That is kind of what scares me looking at the comps a little more. We've seen how this lot can kind of just freely roam around. You really need to hit that CC, those skill shots on him, because there's not much guaranteed there for the side of TA.
I'm not gonna lie to you, and this is just me being a merchant of this particular champion, but if I see a lock, I'm just locking in Malzahar at this point. Like, just make sure you can select the guy. And I was like, once the lock was selected, I know it was selected late, but hold on, we actually got Ivern was spotted out earlier. But they're not going to be able to really do anything about it. These Void Grubs are going straight over to the side of Team Apex. I mean, maybe he can attempt to try to steal this one over the wall, but I don't think Ivern wants to potentially do that and risk his life as well. So all 3 Void Grubs going to go over to the side of Team Apex. They've been actually doing a pretty decent job. Even after that first blood that happened, they've been keeping the map pretty stable, if not within their control. So they actually are doing pretty well of keeping a decent lead on, not a decent lead, but a decent grip on the game in this early game, which sometimes can seem very easy to just let it slip into your hands. But Brady now gonna be engaged on by Tekio, chunking about 1/3 of his HP every single time. Ivern is here though. Feldy looking for something as the flash is in, is now being used, gonna go back, ignites, and is trying to get onto Brady. There's gonna be the Daisy summoned up, flag and drag landing onto Feldy as Feldy using the shield to try to get onto Tekio. Tekio trying to walk away as he's not able to, but there's Wheelchair Jungle gonna turn around onto Brady. Brady then gonna be taken down by the Jarvan as Feldy can only look and walk away. Flag and drag land from the max distance. Feldy trying to walk away as Tekio wants to be able to get the last couple of nails, but it's not enough. He just couldn't catch the distance. Feldy almost lost his life, but that fight cost him the life of his mid laner going over to the Jarvan.
Brady down once again. Second death of the game here. Doesn't feel good for that mid lane matchup. Or again, the Vladimir really just needs to be alive and farming and scaling up. The kills I feel are largely irrelevant. So being able to escape that dire situation seemed good for Brady, but the re-engage with the Ghost on and that empowered Q kind of runs right back into danger, and he does go down. And while it is a very close fight in the end, I think TA needs to lean into their identity in this mid jungle. They don't really want those scrappy 2v2s. They want to, again, keep the farm up. They want to kind of make Zeri the star of the show and let Vlad get to those item breakpoints. So it is a slight lead, only 700 gold at 10 minutes for Team Apex. Not the largest lead. I do want to see them kind of break that open a little more and use those advantages they have accrued in the early game here. But and most of that gold lead, by the way, is in the mid lane. If you look outside of that, it's pretty even across the board. So I think Tilt Esports is still in a decent position overall. They just really need to worry about this lock first and foremost.
I think once the lock starts roaming, that's when they're going to start having problems. And and that's the big thing. Like, I was kind of expecting that from Tekio a little bit more. Like, Locke just starts being the assassin and being like, oh, there's a lane pushed up. Let me just go ahead and sneak right over here. But like, it hasn't been that. It's just been, hey, Brady, I want to make your lane hell, and I'm going to keep making sure that you're either forced to back or I'm planning to kill you. When he lands these nails, those nails actually do a decent little chunk of damage. Like, that has to look at least like about 100 HP each nail that he's doing. So you're already chunking down. You're already chunking down to Vladimir. Vladimir, like you said, can then pull and hurt himself more, making it disadvantageous for him in the fight. So yeah, 114 damage per nail is what we're seeing. Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy. And he has Sheen, Blasting Wand, and Aether Wisp. Also five stacks on his so, you know, it's all right.
Cool. Yeah. Since I was curious about like the data on this matchup, because I haven't seen it really play out before, I just went to one of the stat sites, and on this one it says that Locke is the hardest counter to Vladimir with a 46.5% win rate for the Vlad in that matchup. So not really looking good for the Vladimir. Maybe these were some misinterpreted stats, or just a lack of familiarity with the champion, or again, maybe they know something I don't. I am not familiar with the matchup myself, so I'll have to see there. But it is the Ocean Drake, second Drake of the game, going over to Team Apex Black. Gonna help them sustain up even more in these lanes. I feel like they weren't really taking damage anyway in most of them. Most of them are either kind of farm lanes or this mid lane where Tekio is just putting on the pressure constantly, and it already has that gray health mechanic to kind of also help keep his HP topped up. So it's really just stacking towards the soul, towards that mountain soul for Team Apex, which is going to be so strong for them if they can get it, because there are few members that, Tilt Esports can kind of try to pick off are just going to be that much more resistant.
And I think at this point, it's kind of like, I think that's what's really, for Tilt right now, what they're really going to end up needing is some kind of really just a strong, like, I don't really see actually the angle exactly right now from this early game, like how they transition themselves into at least a better state for the mid game. I think we're really gonna have to just see how this first like actual team fight goes, because Zeri hasn't really been involved as of yet in the game. It's been just kind of like, hey, the ADCs are just exchanging blows down in the bot side, and no one's really like roamed them up. The one time that they actually tried to fight, it was a 3v3 between the jungles and bot lanes, and it just ended up being nobody losing their lives. So I want to see what happens once Tilt gets their ADC involved. But I don't think, yep, they do see him on the ward there, but they're going to be able to get the engage. Unbreakable going to come out as the Make It Rain was able to slow them down. Wiltshire Jungle still here as he potentially waits for Darter Wolves to engage, but not going to get this area to go over the wall, feeling confident, and it ends up being all for naught once again. Down the bot side is Tekio, invading the jungle, does find Feldy, uses the ultimate to go over the wall, tries to chase him down, flag and drag, trying to help Wiltshire Jungle get a little bit closer, but that's going to be the Ivern flashing away between his turrets to get away from this block that is devastating. Has the Lich Bane now, and this is looking like it's going to be it's going to just hurt. He was already hurting without like actual damage, and now it's just going to be damage on damage. So this lock is going to become a real nuisance real soon, as Feldy prepping for a potential gank in the top side.
Yeah, Tekio trades the ult for the flash. Pretty happy to take that trade in the mid lane. Brady forced into going for the Mercury's treads there. Again, Vlad really likes those CDR boots to get access to, more access to the pool, more healing, more everything. And instead he has to go defensive here. Ooh, Tekio and Gumi going to fight.
Oh, Tekio getting found out by Gumi, but this time this ain't the squishy target that potentially you can go up against, as he's gonna get CC immune, go into Tekio. Tekio now being forced out the flash. The passive is gonna be used as here for Gumi, but he gets the shutdown as they're able to find the pick onto the lock, but the Flagging Dragon gonna be able to find Gumi, knocks him up and gets him into the resurrected form. But now the rest of the team backing off, as we do have Feldy and Brady appearing here. They're able to get the lock this time, getting that shutdown, and that's at least a much needed morale boost for the side of Tilt Esports, as they felt maybe the going into this mid game was starting to get a little bit dicey.
I was a little worried for TA that they hadn't really made anything happen this game outside of that first blood, but with the overextension by Tekio into the Zahen, who just fights him 1v2 and it feels confident doing it, that is gonna give mostly equalize the gold there and give the Rift Herald over to the side of Tilt Esports. So that should help them unlock the map a little more and make a big play somewhere if they can find the right time to drop it. And yeah, Gumi getting big value on that top lane pick.
Yeah, especially he also, again, he got the shutdown also on the lock, so that little bit of extra gold is always nice to see go into your pocket. And as they were able to secure the Rift Herald, that was nice because there were definitely some objective stacking going on the side of Apex Black. They do have the Chemtech and the Ocean Drake that they were able to get. The Mountain Soul, or the Mountain Drake, is actually going to be spawning in the next 50 seconds, so we could potentially see, like, what I was saying, our very first real big fight, and I'm expecting some real from the setup from Apex Black to be there first, as they still have some map control here. Like, we do see the Tekio is pushing in on that mid lane turret that's nearly dead there. The Void Grubs, even though they've been kind of nerfed over seasons, it's they actually still have some little bit of value, so it's nice that it's kind of allowing them to, like, siege and try to keep these try to keep this advantage. But Feldy is already down here as Wheelchair Jungle is backing. If anything, they do have the opportunity, like, they could give up this first one if they want to, but you don't want to just start kind of like letting them objectives that they already gave up. They already took the Rift Herald from you after a unfortunate pick onto Tekio. So now Tilt Esports being there first to the setup is probably gonna end up getting the Drake, but Wheelchair Jungle is right under it as well.
Built grouped in the river. They have maybe a slightly superior position here, but if Tekio can find a flank, he can do some serious damage. Also, quickly need to shout out Darterwolf's insane CS numbers, more than 10 CS per minute here. That's a farm lane, and Zeri likes that, but here comes the fight.
As we're looking, Witcher Jungle flag drags into Zeri, does not find their target, did have the Cataclysm ready, could go in and does. And we're looking as the Ornhorn gets called down, bullet time, so much with a big old triple kill going over to the lock as they continue to go in, as the Zahen has to use the ultimate but not for the engage, and instead to try to attempt to save his own life, wants to continue to fight using the Rift Herald to run away. It's so cowardly as he attempts to go back in. Zahen couldn't continue the fight as Apex Black finds it for themselves off the triple kill for the lock and gets the unofficial quadra as he bursts down the Zahen right there. That's gonna be 4 kills to the lock, 4 for 0 to a Team Apex, the Mountain Drake, and they are also ballooning their lead to 3K.
Massive explosion of the game state by Team Apex Black there. TA, I thought, had some decent setup, but they just group up too much for the engage. A beautiful teleport flank by Zazakil gets the call of the Forge God across the whole team. And the thing about the Braum counterpick is if you're CC'd, you can't put the wall up. So I'm pretty sure in that fight, JJ is nice, went down and was just CC'd the entire duration. You can see no flash, no heal, and no ult were used in that fight by the Braum. Multiple other players on the side of TA also went down without being able to use their summoner spells. So I think that engage from Team Apex was just perfectly executed and gave Tilt Esports no chance at all to respond, giving them that 3 for nothing and the sole point there, and setting Apex firmly in control of the game.
Yeah, that was an absolutely insane fight, especially when it looked like for a moment there, I was like, wait a second, he's in, there's Darterwolf, like, you're not gonna jump in, but they immediately found it where they was like, oh wait, no, Cataclysm getting held there actually ended up being advantageous for them when they were able to CC up the Braum, like you were saying, as they go in now, and Tekio is here, and Darterwolf loses his life as he goes unstoppable, and that is one of the roams that we have been looking for. This game is absolutely in Apex's control, and this lock is looking insane.
It's just so hard to shut down the lock when he does look for those plays. You're really relying on the Ivern Q, maybe Daisy landing the knockup, or the Braum ultimate, because the CC in general for TA is just really slow to come out. We saw Gumi does have that knockup, that point, which is point and click, and that can help slow down the lock and set up the rest of the CC, but that's the top laner. He's not going to be at every fight. But speaking of fighting,
Daisy being summoned, get it, white boy having to run away, and now this is going to be the side of Tilt Esports running away. Daisy going to be quickly dispersed as Tekio making his way from behind as Dartwolf is trying to get the zap, but not going to be able to. Bullet time coming down as Tekio is going to go dominate. Cataclysm is going to keep Brady trapped in as double kill is going to go over to the lock. Everyone else dispersing as he does find Dartwolf trying to get the damage down. Call of Forge guy is going to come down from below as it gets Gumi. He's not going to be able to find Feldy, but Feldy's going to be able to lose his life as he gets trapped out in the Raptor pit. Nitro Kid going to be able to take the first kill instead of it being the lock as Gumi's trying to run away. They're going to be able to catch him out as he's trying to get away, but the ult going to come out to try to save him under the turret, but get a white boy instead going to slay his life as Dartwolf trying to get a little bit of damage down, but goes over the wall and is the sole member left alive for Tilt Esports, and that is going to be it for them as they can't get a single member once again in back-to-back fights.
And the entire rest of Team Apex is deathless except for the 9-2 lock, which is extremely scary. Despite the amazing CS numbers Darterwolf was putting up earlier, Get It White Boy is 2 levels up and has firmly claimed the CS lead as well. Apex winning out all across the board, and it feels like TA just drafted a comp that takes a little too long to come online, and at this point in the game, I think might not get the chance to do so. They are down 7,000 gold now, and staring down the barrel of that Dragon Soul being taken. I think Team Apex can take the Baron pretty much whenever they want to, so barring some miracle fight from TA, which I don't really see happening, they don't have those huge wombo combos that they can pull off the way Team Apex does. I think this game should, just gradually end in the blue side's favor, but it is never over till it's over. We'll see what TA can do to fight back. Maybe they find a pick on the support looking for vision, but Nitro Kid's just going to dash away.
Yeah, this is probably one of those games where you need to just be like, all right, what do we do when we go next? Because I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some crazy games that you'll see where 7K all of a sudden gets turned right around. So what I think needs to happen right here though is, like you said, we need to just see like maybe some consistent picks happening. We're down items, we're down levels, and we are down significant gold at this point. And especially you're down technically you're down even more items when this Ornn is now level 16. Like, you got the Bloodthirster for MF, the Shadow Flame for Locke of all things, the Warmogs for Ornn. This is just Feldy? So damn unfortunate. But now Feldy getting caught up by Locke and just absolutely annihilated his Tekio. Gonna be able to take him out. Literally 66% HP to nothing. Holy.
It's like, how are you supposed to make a pick happen when you go looking for it, it just gets turned around on you like that? There's not a lot of aggressive CC and mobility on the side of TA. Most people on the side of Team Apex are either very tanky or very mobile. A Misfortune, who might be your easiest target, it has been playing really safe this whole game. Again, is deathless, doesn't really need to do a whole lot to play aggressive and push the tempo of the game. Can kind of just sit back, let the team do the work with Locke looking for picks, and then if a team fight does happen and the enemy team does try to walk in, just drop the bullet time and it's GG. So that is going to be an uncontested Mountain Soul 4-0 given over to Team Apex Black. Not a lot that Tilt Esports can do from this game state to contest that objective. We'll see if they look for the Baron or if they make a play down bot, though, because it looks like Wheelchair Jungle might have other ideas.
They do know Braum is there, so they could look for something, as Hen doesn't even feel that he can combat against Tekio on this lock, having to use the ultimate to back away instead of continuing the combat. Feldy on their way up, and maybe they could look for this engage onto him, but even just killing the lock is not enough at this point to push you guys into so it would feel like more like, oh, we can still take this game. It's only game 1, but we can still do it. You're fighting into a Mountain Soul. You're fighting into Ornn items. You're fighting into a MF with Bloodthirster so she can consistently keep herself sustained, making it actually a lot more deceptively harder to kill than they would probably expect. This lock apparently can literally delete 2/3 of your HP in the press of a button. It's just so unfortunate to watch. And even with the Braum there, they were honestly picking for the potential to beat this Wombo combo, it's not it's obviously proven not to be enough. And they just end up CC locking him down, and everything can just rain on top of them. No pun intended for the MF ability. And then it just becomes an just a lost fight at that point. And we've seen it happen in back-to-back fights where literally the last two fights they lost 4-0. And Gumi here forces the flash out of Zazakel, but not going to be enough as Flash doesn't flash in, dashes in onto Brady, and this is just enough to push him away. The TP being used by the Orm might be stopped. No, not going to be stopped in time by Gumi, and it's going to be another fight as Daisy's called the 4-drop, going to be able to come down, is going to land onto Brady. Brady getting knocked out by the Rakan as they're trying to go in, uses the pool to evade as the TP's coming down. Baron actually going to be slain by the Jarvan as the bullet time comes through, now being blocked by the Unbreakable. The fight now a little bit disadvantageous. Two ultimates now going to be used as Gumi's now trying to attempt to go in. That's going to be Tekio trying to back off, but they're going to be able to find him. The shutdown going to go over to the Zahin as they're able to find him once again, and Zazakill caught in between 5 different members, and it's going to be the sacrificial lamb as the Ornn goes down. Another kill over to Zahin. That's 2 kills found for the side of Tilt Esports, and that's definitely a mental changer. Still 7k gold down. No Baron for yourselves, but you're at least going to be able to take 2 kills in this turret, and that keeps you within this game.
Yeah, a couple of shutdowns, the objective bounty as well. That is nicely done by Tilt Esports, capitalizing on what I saw as some indecision from Team Apex Black. They got the Baron, and they couldn't really decide if they wanted to fight or back off. I think most of the time when you get the Baron, you just want to hit the B button, go home, spend your money, and start pressuring the map all together in sync at the same time. But Tekio manages to find kind of the one way to die, which is walking right into the enemy CC combo. And off the back of that, it's a kill onto the Ornn as well. So a little bit of life shown for Tilt Esports here. Still going to be tough to defend against this Baron, but the solo laners for Team Apex don't have it, and that is going to buy some much needed time. It kind of forces Apex to group up a lot more to get value out of this Baron buff, which I would still expect them to get several turrets, and if they find a fight angle, maybe even break open the base or end the game, but it's a lot less guaranteed than it was before.
Yeah, and this is why I've always been the propensor of saying, like, yo, just back if we can. If they're not approaching us, if we could just back, then back. But Gumi now being found by 3 different members, the knockup not going to be able to land. The flagging drag going to be able to do so. Uses the ultimate to try to get away. The class going to be able to drop on top of him, and that's going to be the bullet time coming over as the Unbreakable, and the ult going to come down. This is shut down onto the Jarvan, and now going to have to be forced to back away. 4 members now chasing down the bot laners of Team Apex Black, and that was unfortunately an engage turned into a disadvantage. Disadvantage for the side of Team Apex. They're going to lose their jungler. They're a little bit more gold given over to the side of Tilt Esports, now bringing the gold lead down to 5k even after the Baron being taken. So they are actually getting themselves slowly back into this game, slowly stitching up the wounds. They might be able to make themselves a comeback here, but it's going to be if Team Apex Black keeps making those same repeatable mistakes.
I mean, that's the thing with TA's composition is if you do find a good fight where someone is overextending on the engage like that, you can turn around this game. Zeri in the extended fights is so good, and despite the rough early performance, Vlad is going to become a big problem in the later stages of the game as well, if he can hit those items. And so every minute that Team Apex gives a TA to continue scaling is a big risk for them. In that fight, it seemed like Tekio was kind of off looking for the flank in the topside jungle, but when Wheelchair Jungle engages, TA is just decisively going in onto that Jarvan, and without being in range, the lock can't do much. He needs to get in a good position to get the full damage combo down, otherwise it is a little limited in target access, and not the longest range engage for any assassin. And so yeah, the Baron buff has expired with something close to a minus 5,000 power play, I want to say. I didn't have the exact number before, but I think it was about 10k advantage for Team Apex, now cut down to 5. But we do have the Elder spawning in 40 seconds, and Team Apex Black is still firmly in the lead. They have that soul, they have the gold lead, they have the superior vision control around the Elder as well. So we'll see if TA tries to hold the line and fight for that objective, or if they just turtle and try to wait it out.
I think with the way that this team can, well, one, the last thing you want is Locke having that, with how he can just blow people up. You don't want him having that Elder Drake, and because all he needs to do is find one pick, and the fight immediately becomes not one that you want to continue fighting. So we do see the Wheelchair Jungle going to go over the wall, as now Tilt Esports gaining control of the dragon area, which is going to be absolutely necessary for them as this Elder Drake does spawn. Uh,
TP
Zazakill
wards are
does
up
have,
for Apex.
but they need to just wait this out. They got to find the right angle for it. So they're going to just let Ornn attempt to take this turret up in the top side. They're calling, and yeah, you do have Tilt Esports calling out for it that Ornn is still up there. They're waiting for him to potentially TP in. Flag used for a little bit of vision does end up catching out Brady, as Daisy is gonna end up starting the Elder Drake here, and we're gonna end up seeing that fight. Wheelchair Jungle trying to find the point, as Brady's gonna force the Flagging Dragon the other way, and we're gonna see more chip down onto this Elder Drake. This could be potentially the great equalizer. Who can potentially do it? But from behind, it's gonna be Zazakill able to call the Forge God. Gonna have the bullet time coming down. Is technically gonna go and be able to slay down slay down the support, as JJ Nice and the Hen are both gonna fall to the assassin, as Darterwolf is trying to get zapped off on the backside, as the double kill going over to the Misfortune, being able to take out the mid laner and the ADC, with Feldy being the only one left alive. He's gonna be chased down. Flash battle dance, and the ace going over to Nitro Kid. 5-for-0 ace. Mid lane being barreled down. The inhibitor about to go down. That's about to be your Nexus turrets, and that's about to be your game one.
For the second time this game, Zazakill finds a huge flank on the Ornn. Didn't even need the TP wards, just walked right up into the middle of the team and started locking them down for the combo to come through, giving them a clean ace to close out game number 1.
Dude, that was actually an absolutely insane game for game 1. Oh, wait. So sorry, that was an absolutely insane game 1. I just got caught up with something real quick, but that was an absolutely insane game 1 to be able to see there, as I just said that 3 different times. But you know what? It's so good I had to say it 3 times. And I think that we can definitely say from the side of Team Apex, they had a very commanding hold on the game. But what was really nice to see is that we got the fact that maybe this was just, I honestly think from the side of Tilt Esports though, this was just one of those situations where I don't feel that maybe your mid laner was very comfortable. I actually think that maybe both Braum and Vladimir were probably not the most comfortable champions for both of these particular players. I haven't looked into JJ Nice's play history beforehand, or match history beforehand, to see if a lot of Braum was actually under his belt. But if there's anything that I did note, I was noticing from that, it just seemed like, okay, there were certain moments where Unbreakable could have been used and it wasn't, or like you said before, where they just got locked down for so long that they didn't even get the chance to utilize any summoners, any ultimates, nothing that could actually be beneficial in the fight. Because there was times where they did get the Glacial Fissure down and stopped the bullet time entirely from the MF. They stopped Ornn from being able to actually get that Ornn Horn, and that's the fight that we ended up seeing them win. So there was, it basically shows that if I feel that if Tilt Esports is able to get a more of an advantage in the draft for themselves, get champions that they actually want to be able to play, they can actually take down Apex Black. They showed that there was moments that even when they were behind, they were able to clinch it. There was a 10k gold lead at one point, and then it got brought back down to 5k before the end of the game, and they ended with a 6k gold lead. So it does show you that ultimately the team is not infallible on the side of Team Apex, even though it was an extremely strong performance from just about every player on this team. But primarily we did see a lot from Tekio in the mid lane.
Ekio has a lot of those champions in his pool that can kind of break open the game like that. A lot of those assassins and kind of fighter style mid laners. So I think that's something that Tilt is going to need to get under control. Maybe play a more aggressive jungler that can shut down that kind of aggression in the early game by just spam ganking mid. Maybe it's playing a mid laner that has a little bit more, wave clear and safety in the early game, because Vlad is very vulnerable early on. Whatever it is, I'd like to see Tilt bring something that, at least can bring more aggression somewhere else on the map. It felt like they had a pretty good matchup in top. We saw that Gumi was able to, pull out some big kills on the Zahem there, but the rest of the map felt like was always on the back foot, and a lot of that is kind of just the matchups that they were in. But at the end of the day, it was Team Apex just executing better across the board.
Yeah, and that was honestly like I said, it was just about everybody on the team and giving an impressive showing here today. But I definitely want to just probably give the MVP to Tekio and that mid lane. That mid lane performance on the lock was something that I honestly wasn't expecting. And like, I really thought the Vladimir was going to be a counter to Lock, and then come to find out, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's actually the other way around. And we actually got to see it, but now that champion is gone, so no one has to worry about it anymore. So you won't see that again. The nightmares are over. Listen, the mid lane Vayne cannot hurt you. AP Vayne can't hurt you anymore, guys. It's okay. So we're gonna be right back going into the draft for game 2, but don't go anywhere. We'll just don't change that channel, all right? Because this game is going to be absolutely insane. I think Tilt Esports has something in the back pocket that they can bring it back and give us an exciting game 2 that's going to be a nail biter for these, to bring us a series that's going to be an absolutely insane one. So once again, guys, please don't go nowhere. This is Titan Esports Conqueror League with Team Apex Black versus Tilt Esports Ascension, and this is an absolutely beautiful Wednesday night for some damn good League of Legends. We're going to go on this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody, to Titan Esports Conqueror League on a beautiful Wednesday night. I am once again your play-by-play caster, Malco, joined by Freedom Potatoes right here to the right of me. And if you guys missed that crazy game one that we ended up seeing at first, it looked like, you know, Tilt Esports with a little first blood in the beginning was going to get themselves a little bit more into this game, be a little bit more competitive. But all of a sudden, the lock took over and locked in, taking the game one for them, going about 12-3 and looking like an absolute demon the entirety of that game. TES showing what he can do on that new champion that is, honestly, from what I've seen, assassins tend to be some of his best things that he tends to play. So I'm really curious to see how this draft is going to go, where they're probably going to try to ban on a lot more around that mid lane and try to put that person on a disadvantage, because you don't want to see another performance like that on their mid laner, especially when it makes it look that crazy of a difference too.
Yeah, but Tekia has played a lot of different things this split. Has the Akali, Galio, Silas, Aurora. There's a lot of options in that kind of assassin-y style that he could choose to go for. So banning him out might be a little bit tough. That said, some of those I'm sure are more comfortable than others. So there's still something that TA is going to be able to say about that. And they're also going to be able to choose size if they so choose. But yeah, I'm looking for TA to kind of bounce back this game, you know, especially mentally. I feel like in those games where it feels like you don't get a lot done, like the only objective that TA really got that game was the Rift Herald, and they ended up not getting very much value out of it. I think it was just used to escape a fight, basically. You need to get yourself back in the headspace of proactively making plays and not being on that back foot, because it is a new game. And so that's what I'm looking for Tilt Esports to do is, you know, new draft, new me, and just, yeah, start putting out a little more aggression instead of being on the back foot in game 2 here.
As I mentioned, but as we get into the draft, as I mentioned in the last game, it was, I want to see more comfort from the mid and support on the sides of Tilt Esports. It felt like, again, as we got noted, there was actually a takeaway for both of the champions. The Vlad and the Braum were both takeaways for the mid and the support, respectively. And it's like, okay, you take those away, but how good are you on those champions when you take them away? It doesn't look good when you take champions away, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but we did this to try to counter them and put them on something that would make them worse, and then the game goes the way that it did. So I really want to see a little bit of a change from Tilt Esports. I really want to see them maybe play the draft a little bit more calculative, you know, like a little bit more calculation to it, and try to maybe even force Apex on some things that they might not be as comfortable on in a game 2 situation. Because usually what I see is that when people tend to have these, like, they have this happen, like where they just win in a very good fashion, they tend to carry that into the next couple of games. And again, this is we can potentially see a 5-game series, but if you keep playing the way you played against Team Apex previously and it goes the way it did, this could easily look like a 3-0 or 3-1, because again, we did get some glimpses of Tilt Esports being able to show that even with a 7K deficit, 10K deficit at one point, they were able to bring it back for themselves. And so there is never, don't lose hope. That's what I'm telling Esports right now. Don't lose hope, but they do have a little bit of a battle to fight with Apex Black. So
I mean, Locke is gone now. That champion's gross. So they are, yeah. I think that alone should be giving them some mental fortitude going into this draft here.
And I'm very excited this time. I want to see if maybe the bans change up a little bit. Like I said, I want to see a little bit more towards Tekia. Like I want them to kind of like try to target him. Because I feel that was, because what was the bans from the last game? I think Akali was mentioned in one of the bans for last game, but it seems like they had more of a focus. Yeah, it was more of a jungle focus. Yeah, there was actually not even one Akali ban
from TA, and the jungle focus on the blue side makes me think the teams might have switched sides this game. I think that should be TA on the blue side. And so, yeah, just for the viewers, TA is blue side this game. Apex is going to be your red side team here. So bear that in mind while we get that fixed. But it looks like the bans are going to be mostly staying the same. We did drop Xin Zhao for a Trundle ban, which really indicates to me that TA is trying to steal away that Xin Zhao. Very classic staple jungle pick. Yeah, and it is going to be left open, so I'd expect that to be the B1 here.
Yeah, and I feel like Xin Zhao is one of those other like safe blue side picks that like we've talked about this previously on cast, where Jarvan kind of fits that number one. Like if you're on blue side and you just need a blind pick a jungler, pick Jarvan. I feel like Jin Zhao, when you start to get into more deeper games, if he's somehow not picked by game 1 or 2, it tends to be one of those much safer picks for blue side. As Apex Black though gonna end up responding with the Graves here this time, and if anything, I don't think it's going anywhere but the jungle. So I do like seeing that we're gonna get more of a carry style jungle this time from Apex Black with your jungle. And the Ashe now this time, it was banned I believe in second round last game, and instead this time it's going to be picked up the first game, and this was actually banned by Apex Black last time.
That jungle matchup is going to be one to watch. Not really a CC engaged jungler for Wheelchair this time, but instead much more in that carry role. And we saw he was proficient on the Jarvan, even though there was, maybe one unnecessary death here or there. It was still a dominating performance, and we'll see if he can bring that same energy on the Graves. Karma Ezreal picked up by TA's bot lane. That is a bot lane that can put out a lot of early aggression, but I feel like Ashe Nami can, to some extent, punish that. They have a lot of slows. If Ezreal ease in over aggressively and doesn't have that passive and the lethal tempo stacked up, in the long trade, that Ashe Nami lane is going to be quite potent. So TA going to be looking for poke, short trades, and kind of whittling down the resource pool of the Apex bot lane, who might be looking a little more for some of those all-ins.
And especially considering the Ezreal Karma has been one of those combinations that I honestly feel like that when I go bot lane against it, I do personally tend to struggle. In this, with the Nami and the Ashe together, like you said, they're going to be able to get a lot of those kind of like small short trade pokes, slowing them down, ebb and flow, being able to give the consistent sustain versus like shielding, where sometimes it feels like when you're getting more healing and then you also get more damage out of it too. So it's going to be trying to chunk down a little bit more at the protective aspects of the Karma. As we do see real quick though, for the final bans here, we're going to see on the side of TA, they ban out the Akali and the Malphite, and we do see from Apex, they're going to end up banning out the Mordekaiser and Silas. So we do, kind of can't allow for any wombo, additional wombo combos like Malphite into tidal wave Malphite. That just sounds like absolute terror. So that was actually pretty good ban there. Cassante and Anivia though picked up for the side of TA. I'm not sure how I feel about Cassante as of late. I haven't really seen a lot of Cassante play. I think I've seen it once this season potentially. I'm not sure exactly who piloted it, but it was probably, if I didn't remember it, I don't know if it was exactly the most memorable thing. As we do get for the final picks here is going to be the Scion and the Syndra on the side of Team Apex Black. I do kind of like what they're doing here, because technically from Apex Black, you actually have a decent amount of long range engage, because the unstoppable from the Scion utilizing his unstoppable onslaught, then you have the intrinsic crystal arrow, the tidal wave. You have a lot of potential engage that can get you, at least slow them down long enough to get you close enough for allowing for a lot of that burst from Graves, from the Syndra, to be able to come down while the consistent damage is coming. I kind of like where this composition is coming from Apex. Where we do though see, I kind of feel that like TA was taken like a little bit from like a more of a pro playbook, and it really feels like this composition is more like something that's a little bit more consistent, like poke down, try to get as much damage down, try to control areas as much as we can, especially with like, the Anivia wall and the Anivia ultimate. It allows you to kind of force them into different areas. I really want to see how Tilt Esports expects them to how do you expect their composition to kind of work into this. But now we are going to go ahead and get right into game once again, guys. As you guys can see, Tilt Esports on blue, Apex Black on the red side. It's going to be Cassante, Xin Zhao, Anivia, Ezreal, Karma for the composition on the side of Tilt Esports. And then for the side of Team Apex Black, it is Scion, Graves, Syndra, Ashe, and Nami. The predictions should be going up momentarily for you guys to go ahead and make a decision of who is going to win this game. As I just said, it is right up. Thank you, Sheridan, our absolutely amazing production, who has been greatly working, like absolutely gracious, doing everything he can for us the entire season, every Wednesday night. I can't thank him enough for giving us these games and being able to bring these games to you guys as we get into this game too. I'm very excited for this. This is actually, I feel like, going to be a lot more even between these two particular teams when it comes down to how these compositions are going to play. So this should be a lot more of a competitive game between the two. But I think for a lot of it, I think I'm actually going to give Tilt Esports a little bit more of the edge on this one.
I think Tilt Esports has a composition that can be very consistent. They have a lot of sustained damage in team fights. They have more engaged than they gave themselves last game, and an enchanter to kind of back it all up. I think Team Apex is really going to need the Graves to become a major threat. They have a ton of utility across the board, especially if Syndra goes for more of that ability haste build, and can be consistently pumping out CC in those fights. To kind of make space for the Graves and help find those picks they need. I think both compositions are going to be looking to do a lot more fighting early game, and that already fixes some of the issue we saw from TA, where you can see them kind of taking the push and trying to get aggressive down here in the bot lane. Also worth noting that Team Apex's bot lane started with the red trinket, so they don't actually have much ability to put down defensive vision for themselves. If TA can get aggressive early on and try to pull off a dive with the Xin Zhao, they might be able to capitalize on that trinket choice.
Yeah, and I wanted to also point out in regard to that. First and foremost, that was some insane damage that came out from the Syndra. It doesn't even have anything like electrocute. Is using the first strike, so a lot of the damage that they normally could do was negated in that mid lane. I was like really enthused by that. I was like, holy crap! Like she can dish back out, even though Brady managed to land a lot onto her. I just need to see what is gonna be what's gonna end up being like both of these compositions. How well is Tilt Esports gonna be a play into it, because they also, one thing they didn't solve from the last game, not as much CC as you would like to see for this team,
Mm-hmm.
where
Zone
there's
control is a little more there.
there's definitely a lot more. They have a lot more control there. But oh, the I forgot just a crystal. I forgot. Not even just that. The hawk shots are going to be great for spotting out wherever Feldy is potentially on the map, giving the bot laners for Apex Black a lot more safety than you would expect. So they don't have to always be constantly pushing up, or they can push up a little bit more depending on their situation. As Gumi is just fighting into Zazakel, and this lane's definitely a lot more even this time around between these two laners, and it's probably going to be like that for quite some time. I feel like top lane's about to be just basically an island for this entire game.
I think that a big part of TA's game plan in those team fights is going to have the Xin Zhao and the K'Sante kind of be a body in front of that Graves. If they can do their job in keeping the rest of the team safe, I think they are going to be able to get very tanky and make it hard for wheelchair jungle to deal the damage. You know, you can physically body block the auto attacks from Graves, so target access is going to be a concern there. This mid lane is also an interesting matchup to me. It used to be fairly Anivia favored before kind of the nerfs and Syndra getting her buffs, but it is always one where Syndra has a lot faster abilities early on in the game. You know, Anivia Q is one of the slowest skill shots in the game, whereas Syndra's QE combo is a very quick CC ability. And if Syndra is playing the dodgeball game well, can get an early upper hand, but as the game goes on, Anivia becomes pretty tough to one shot, and she has the ability to corral Syndra in. As an immobile mage, Syndra getting caught by the wall can be a death sentence later on. So there's a lot of what I would say skill in terms of the skill shots and positioning needed here.
Yep, and they're gonna go in onto Brady there. Brady did spot Wheelchair Jungle on the ward though, coming down from the Raptor camp. What I really liked there though was Xin Zhao tried to attempt to invade. Immediately Wheelchair Jungle finds him and says, "Nah, get off my Krugs." And that wasted a lot of time for the side for the Xin Zhao there for Feldy. And so all he has is the 2 ruby crystals, and compared to a serrated Dirk, you're not doing as much as this Graves could do once they actually get into a situation. I think he wouldn't really be able to outduel him as much either. That would have been a very interesting fight to see, because it would have been definitely in a disadvantage for Feldy. And what I was seeing in the chat, people are like, "Hey, Julian's Graves is something not to slack at." Like they were actually like there was some glazing going on for his Graves in there. So this will be pretty interesting to see what happens there. I want to see if Feldy can prove it, as the all-out getting used by Gumi going in onto Zazakel. Zazakel brought down to about half HP, as we're going to see Tekio getting chunked down on this Syndra, as Brady ends up hitting level 6 and is now putting the reverse Uno card onto Tekio here in this mid lane, as the Anivia forces the Syndra out.
Nicely played by Brady so far in this early game. Up a little bit of CS at the stage of the game where I feel like Syndra does have, a bit more of the upper hand in that early matchup. And I think it's only going to get a little tougher for Tekio as things go on. The tier just helping him get that wave shoved in, going to be able to back in TP in. But Tekio, with the TP of his own, is going to be able to collect the wave on his side here. -1 on that ranged creep. But overall, going to be keeping things pretty even. That first strike helping to keep up even with that tiny CS difference there. As yeah, we saw Yumi go for that all out in the top side, but didn't even force the ultimate from Zazakill on the Scion. Did get a little bit of a chunk down, so maybe he's able to just kind of play the lane slow, wait for that ultimate to come back up, because it is around halfway there now, and maybe look for a re-engage then as Feldy looking for the smite. Ooh.
Looks for it, but not gonna get it. Wilshire Jungle able to get their red. Yeah, that's actually unfortunate. He tried to use the I think he tried to use his Q, not his Q, the E to try to get in and didn't unfortunately wasn't able to get it. So or W, sorry, Wind Become Lightning into Audacious Charge. There we go. So it was his W that he ended up using, trying to be able to poke it out, and he could have too. He almost caught it in the middle of the reload, but Graves just a little bit quicker, just a little bit quicker.
Ooh, did Darterwolf get hit by the bubble? Looks like maybe not, as his health pool is still doing fine. I want to see a little bit more come out from this TA bot lane now that they have gotten that back off. There is the Sheen on the Ezreal, which synergizes so well with those Mystic shots, because, you know, this is a lane you pick for the early aggression, and so far all it's resulted in is a 7 CS lead and 1 turret plate down there, so because of how much utility there is for the side of Team Apex Black's bot lane, I want to see this Karma Ez get a little more done here, but they haven't really had the jungler visit their lane. And so, you know, that can make it hard to finish off those kills when there is a lot of sustain on the other side. Maybe they can try to, you know, pull the wave into a position where they can get more aggressive themselves, or maybe they'll just continue perma pushing. Graves is still in the area, but is clearing away from them, which could open up an opportunity for the Xin Zhao to look for a lane gank.
I would be surprised at this current moment if the Xin Zhao did a lane gank, even though I'm glad to see now he's even in the jungle with him. It was originally a little bit of a farm lead for Julian.
Oh,
Oh, and
actual
Crystal
going down.
Arrow going down. Is he going to be able to hit the Cassante on time? Nearly does it. Oh, it barely missed. Oh no, that is so unfortunate. Not even gonna be able to use that for the bot lane. They possibly could have caught out Darterwolf with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but no. Instead, Gumi gonna be able to get out, and it's not gonna land on him. Ah, that's just entirely unfortunate. Yo, that's oh my god.
It's like
Please
going for like a
sidestep.
light version of the Prey Ash arrow to stop the base, even though there was basically nothing on the line except just a good reset timer. It would have been nice to disrupt the Cassante's reset, and you know, yeah, probably wouldn't have meant a kill or anything like that, but just getting some extra CS and platings onto the Scion, who wants to continue scaling up, stacking that health as Tekio.
Oh, both of them going to be able to land the stuns onto one another. Tekio, though, being forced back as the Glacier Storm. That's what I love about Nibia. The constant area of effect, like control. Oh, no. When Becomes Lightning lands onto Get White Boy, going to be able to force the flash out of the Ash as this gonna. We're going to get the 2-shot barrage. Going to land onto Nitro Kid. Nitro Kid able to live, but is going to be taken down to extremely low health. And this is actually what I was kind of expecting from the Ezreal Karma lane to be this constant poking factor that Nami, even though, yes, you have the constant heals, you only got so much mana. And so after a while, it gets very hard for Nami to be able to sustain in lane unless she does try to go towards that tier build. A lot of people do not like to do.
What?
Team Apex Black, though, keeping even with this little bit of a lead, with a little bit of farm difference down, they're actually still able to keep the objectives in their clear control as they do secure all 3 grubs, and they did secure that Hextech Drake just a little while ago.
Yeah, one thing that really hasn't changed from the first game is that Team Apex Black is getting all the objectives here in the early game on a slower pace than they were last time, to be fair. I think Feldy has been a little more present on the map as a Xin Zhao than he was on the Ivern. We saw there trading 1 flash for 2 down in the bot lane. But the Graves kind of just playing the farm, you know, farm your jungle, farm the neutrals, and ooh, Get It White Boy could be in trouble, split from the Nami, but no follow-up from the side of Tilt Esports Ascension's bot lane. So they're going to just go back to playing that shove game again, trying to get more platings for themselves, which has gotten them a little bit of a lead. But again, I still want to see capitalization on the lack of the flash. Here's the junglers.
No, Wheelchair Jungle wanting to back off. Feldy actually having a level advantage on Wheelchair Jungle at this current moment, and a little bit more items in his belt. Looks like he's going towards the Sundered Sky. We're gonna see here though, Brady dropping a lot of damage down on the Tekio. That's that Flash Frost into Glacial Storm just landing on top of him. Tekio is just not having a fun time here, even though lane state pretty even for both of these champions here in the mid lane. They do, only 9 farm down, not too much that, like, not too much of a difference, but it still is going to start to add up, especially when Tekio keeps getting brought down and chunked to lower HP.
And it looks like it is going to be the Ludens completed in the mid lane for Tekio, not going for that Blackfire Cosmic build. Could be going more for a Shadow Flame. Ooh, ultimate used again.
All out though, not going to be able to get the rest of the damage down onto Zaza kill, and that's going to be the ultimate used by Gumi. Gumi trying to be able to bring him back, but not going to do so. Instead, gets the plate, and Zaza kill now completing his top lane quest after that. But this is actually interesting to see. This time the top and bot lanes are significantly stronger for the side of Tilt Esports. It feels as the Winds Become Lightning lands down. Audacious Charge is gonna go in, and True Shot Barrage is on target. Nami taken down. That's Fish Fry. First blood over to the Ezreal.
First blood at 12 minutes this time around. Much slower game pace, despite the increased fighting we've seen. I guess being low on health makes people kind of back off a little more and respect their opponents. But yeah, a little bit of a mispositioning from the Nami with no flash up. Gets tagged by the Audacious Charge. And because Feldy was hitting the control ward, he actually had the 3 Talon Strike primed and ready for that instant knockup. So easily takes out the Nami from the other side. Ooh, Tekio under turret.
Brady going to be taken down to a lot of HP as the collateral damage comes from over the wall. Wheelchair Jungle going to be able to land that down, and that might be Brady losing his life. Scatter the Weak, though, going to go wide as he doesn't able to land it, and they manage to get the Cloud Drake, and Brady able to walk away alive, ever so barely.
Brady narrowly living thanks to that egg. There wasn't enough follow-up damage quite yet from the side of Team Apex. That ability, very strong in the early game when people don't have a lot of, AD or AP or ability haste. Picked up. Yeah, ooh, Wheelchair Jungle does steal away the blue, but it might be getting too greedy for the Scrab.
He should have, yep, there he goes. He did have the quick draw, so he was able to get over that wall there. But yeah, Wheelchair Jungle doing a pretty decent job of trying to like keep up with Xin Zhao here. But right now, the Tilt Esports doing a really good job of just keeping the early game a lot more stable than they did last game. Yeah, like you said, kills much later this time around. But when your lane states are significantly more stable and generally more even in comparison to last game, like you don't have Tekio going absolutely insane on this lock. But oh no, Get It White Boy gonna be able to dodge on the True Shot Barrage. Barrier gonna be forced out here as Get It White Boy ends up hitting a minion. And Twisted Crystal Arrow though gonna be able to stop the stun. Tidal Wave coming down. He shouldn't have the Arcane Shift. Instead gonna have to use his flash, and that's gonna be the shields coming down from Karma. Gonna be able to snare up Nitro Kid able to land the bubble onto the Karma, disengaging that fight. Summoner's used though as the flash is now down from Darter Wolf, but that's gonna be Feldy going in immediately, finding Wheelchair Jungle, but then gonna land on the Tekio himself, and Tekio gonna be taken down as Brady's able to take that kill. Feldy going in, Audacious Charge on top of Wheelchair Jungle, able to land the Wind Become Lightning, looking for the charge again. Blast Cone not gonna get him over the wall, but now he's in between the turrets trying to get this kill onto the Graves. That's another kill over to the side of Tilt Esports, and they're looking for one more. Brady wants this Graves, but Graves is able to walk it out alive.
Wheelchair Jungle managing to live on a sliver of HP. And back to that bot lane, I really think Darter Wolf could have just taken the 1v1 straight up with Get It White Boy. He's had both summoner spells available if needed to, could have just flashed past the wave or committed the Arcane Shift, and I think finished off that kill because the Ashe used ultimate and barrier pretty early on in that fight. There was a lot left in the tank for Ezreal, and instead hesitates a little bit. Nami shows up, and the kill opportunity is missed out on. But nevertheless, showing that this Ezreal is a major threat down here in the bot lane. Nice kill picked up in the mid lane as well. For the Anivia, some good wall placement. Ooh, Wheelchair Jungle in the wings.
Oh, that's gonna be the bubble landing on the JJ. Knight's gonna have to be forced out the flash. True Shot Blood's gonna come out from behind as Feldy's able to find Wheelchair Jungle, and he's gonna be able to get revenge from the last game. Not gonna be able to take him out. The Tidal Wave is gonna be able to drop, and they're trying to find him. Feldy's gonna be locked up, and it's gonna take him down as the shutdown goes over to Get It White Boy. They're continuing down the chase. JJ's nice, having to be forced out the flash as he's going away, and they're able to find that, but we're gonna miss it as it's a 1v1 in the river, and it's Tekio coming out on top. That is an immediate turnaround, and the gold now brought in within 700.
Nice turnaround from Team Apex Black. A little bit of tunnel vision by Feldy trying to finish off the low HP Nami. Goes in, gets tagged up by the bubble and taken down. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Tekio turns things around, getting the 1v1 kill. Not exactly sure how that happened, but definitely going to be for the Syndra, pushing a little more ahead in the gold department there, equalizing the kills and the CS, completely even there in the mid lane. Just has a lot of damage with that, one item spike on the Ludens, plus the upgraded Sorcerer's Shoes. And looks like it will be either the Storm Surge or the Cosmic Drive second for Tekio, with the Ether Wisp picked up. Gonna help kind of match that move speed. The Anivia has the Swift March, which makes it really easy for her to get in range to wall you off. So getting a little move speed as the Syndra is gonna help buy you a little more space to play. Again, the zone control, the positioning, really important for both of these mid laners. If they make a single misstep, they can go down quite quickly.
And I do like seeing the lane swaps here being done, as Gumi has been doing pretty good at keeping himself stabilized, but I did not pay attention to that farm difference. I didn't realize Zazakel was actually the one up in farm in this game right now, and that's possibly why, other than the fact that they were able to get the 2 kills back on them. Get it, White Boy, though, able to dish out a lot of damage. Nitro Kid helping them keep it up, as Gumi's taking down about 1/3 of his HP. But that's still the Rift Herald going. I like seeing Tilt Esports having so much more control this time around on the map. This not letting just objective after objective go over and over to the side of Apex. Like they actually got the dragon this time. They were able to get the Rift Herald this time around, but it's still like it's so weird to see like how well they were. It was just a 2k gold lead for them right at like 15 minutes, and now it's nothing for them at this current moment. This is just going to be very interesting to see, especially with this Drake now spawning. This is an Ocean Soul, so that is something to be very, very mindful of, as a lot of that sustain coming out from Anami, and then the extra mana and health regen that could be absolutely necessary for them. That's going to be interesting, as the wind become lightning lands onto him. Tidal Wave going to drop onto him, CC locking him down, and that's going to be Feldy not being able to go anywhere. Rift Herald used for nothing as they continue to chase down. Brady going to be locked onto the scattered weeks in the land between the knockup from Zazakel, and now there's going to be surrounding this egg as Tekio goes on a killing spree, able to take him down. Zazakel sees the Ezreal in his sights, but not going to be able to chase him down, and instead completely stops the Rift Herald in the mid lane. Once again, your Rift Herald secured, but used for absolutely nothing. That's the dragon gone. This is your mid lane gone, and the game is going open. It's starting to open up for the side of Team Apex Black.
Team Apex just had the superior setup for that Drake. They had a lot more vision. They had the control wards in the enemy jungle. And when you're approaching through that into this CC chain, that Team Apex Black has the Ashe ult, into the Nami ult, into the Syndra stun, into a bubble. There was nothing Feldy could do before going down there. The Crescent Guard unused. It feels like game number 1 all over again, when we had some of those defensive tools that just didn't get to be popped. And so I think, given the superior vision that Team Apex had, I think Tilt maybe should have just given that objective over. It's only the second Drake of the game for Team Apex. It's going to be quite a while till that Ocean Drake is a real win condition for either side, because they traded those first two. And I think they just want to get more money in their...
Oh no!
So Tekio is pretty ahead now. Has the Storm Surge completed, while Brady is only on the Malignance there. And the other thing about that Malignance build is you are not very tanky yet. Once the Seraphs comes through, you might be a little more resistant to some of that burst. But right now, the Anivia is full squishy. Without the egg, you are a sitting duck for that Syndra combo.
Was not expecting that in the slightest at all. I was like, oh, it's just gonna be a little trade, and then all of a sudden unleash power, and it was just gone. Like, that was not okay to see with a 2-item Syndra 4-1 and oh no, this is not looking like any fun
for Tekio. I thought it was a lot more in Brady's favor there in the early game, but Tekio has seized the upper hand firmly in this mid game. Still is a pretty close game overall, about 2.5k the gold lead for Apex. They've got the grubs, they've got one Drake up, but feels like it is anyone's game. I do feel like the lack of CC is starting to show again for the side of TA. Apex has just been beautifully chaining their CC in both of these games we've seen, and If they can continue to play like they have been around those key abilities, I think they should be able to push this lead and take control of the game. However, TA marching down the mid lane here. They should be able to break open this turret before Apex gets here, maybe. And they've got some damage, but they've got to be careful.
Not with Wheelchair Jungle now appearing. They try to get a bit more damage down onto it, but the TP coming in from behind. Tidal Wave gonna be able to get not anyone, but the Scatterer weak. Gonna land onto Darter Wolf, and Tekio goes unstoppable as they continue on the chase. Peldy gonna be going down. This is a double kill going over to the Syndra. That's 2 for 0 for the side of Team Apex. An absolutely insane pick. Nice teleport play, and it ends up working out, bringing their lead up to 4K.
4K gold lead for Team Apex off the back of yet another great TP flank. I feel like that's one thing Apex has been doing a lot better than Tilt in this series, is using the TP summoner spell to get into good positions for fights. You see that ward place there in the mid lane, the one that Syndra TP'd to, getting the kill onto Darter Wolf easily and forcing Feldy into the rest of the team to pick up 2 free kills. Meanwhile, Gumi still has TP there. Brady still has TP. And I feel like a lot of times if you're on, playing this team that wants to be a little more on the zone control side, it can be hard to TP in. There are so many situations where it's like, if the TP takes long enough that by the time you arrive, you might just be getting CC comboed and dying into this team. So potentially something like the Barrier, the Cleanse, the Ghost, or even the Ignite. I have been liking those a lot in the mid lane situationally. And, with a matchup that is as volatile as this Syndra versus Anivia, a combat summoner spell can make the difference, but they're going to look for the gank here.
Scatter the Weak gonna be able to push them away, and Tristan Crystal Arrow once again gonna get dodged out from long distance, but here comes the TP. Sion is here, and he's looking to stop as we're getting the TP coming in from the top side. Is now a 5v3 in the bot lanes. We're waiting for the bot laners from the side of Team Apex to make their way. Ultimate gonna come out from Feldy to be able to try to deflect the most damage possible, but Tekio gonna go godlike as the Kasate gonna be able to find the shutdown on the back end, and he's going all out and is trying to get the damage down, taking down the Ashe. Gumi is looking insane as he gets 2 shutdowns for himself, but Getaway Boy gonna be able to take out Feldy to continue down the chase. Brady taking into Egg as the triple kill is Kasate, chasing down Gumi. A shutdown once again onto the Graves as a quadra kill over to Gumi, but he's not gonna be able to potentially get the Penta unless that's Darter Wolf gonna be able to help him out. Gumi healing up just a little bit as Zazakel is trying to walk away. Gumi doesn't want to help continue the fight. He's not looking for the Penta, but now it's gonna be Zazakel going in. And is it enough? Yes, it is. Kasante Penta kill.
Gumi gets the dream Kasante team fight with a non-stop list of enemies to be just charging into, using the all out and those reduced cooldowns to spam the Tofo strikes and stay healing up constantly throughout the fight. There were so many times where I thought Gumi was going to go down, but the healing and the shielding that champion offers are just ridiculous. He's picked up a Knight's Vow actually for those extended fights. Ooh, get it, White Boy though, wants revenge.
Unfortunately, you don't get to live one of those fights. The Ashe got his clutches on you. You got hit by 1 arrow and it was over. Ashe taking that kill, getting a little gold in their pocket for the exchange of the enemy support's life.
Gumi is going to be on the respawn now. That dragon is going to be taken away by Team Apex Black. So when all is said and done, despite the pentakill, I think Team Apex are feeling pretty good about the game state. They are on Soul Point now. They can look to threaten that Baron. They have a pretty decent damage profile for taking that objective, but they do need to be careful not to get caught out. Anivia can really punish teams that overextend into the pit. And I mean, Gumi has continuously impressed me up in the top lane there. I think Zazakel also has done a great job on some of these engages, but in the extended fights, Gumi has shown some great proficiency with the Kasante, and now the Kasante this game and the Zahen last game.
Yeah, once the Kasante was able to get onto the squishies in the back line and he was getting the additional damage from the all out, it was over for Ashe and Syndra. Once those two dropped, the rest of the team's damage just completely fell off. And I think Wheelchair Jungle tried to help sustain the fight a little bit, but it just was not enough on their side. So this was just really funny to watch because the Kasante, as you said, healing, shielding, plus red buff actually keeping them just that extra little bit of regen to keep him alive was enough to allow for him to get that pentakill. But I'm seeing some calls in the chat, and I'm actually kind of curious, like, what more will Cassante be able to do? Like the Night Spell is going to be able to help protect Ezreal and or Anivia from potentially dying. Actually, might be actually probably pretty interesting to try to put it on Zinzao, but Zinzao already has enough sustain as needed with the Sunder Sky and the Death Stance already being built here. But it's still a little bit behind on the side of Tilt Esports. They still have another 3K of gold that they have to come back from, and there's still that was just like a really good advantage of a fight that the Cassante was able to find onto the back line. We just gotta see. We gotta see what this Cassante can actually end up doing. Like, are they gonna be able to carry the game entirely until the Ezreal comes online? Until Anivia has the ability to keep these. Well, actually, she should have it now to keep these consistent glacial storms up. That's gonna allow them to kind of control some of the areas and force these teams to walk into the fight the way that they want them to. That's what I'm waiting for here, and that's why I'm not counting out Tilt Esports out just yet, because they do have that ability to do a lot more control than we suspect. And even though they might not have the CC, even though that's gonna land, Dartwolf flashing over the wall into the Raptor Pit, but now the intrusive critical arrow gonna find JJ is nice. Get a White Boy gonna be able to take that kill. When it becomes lightning, forcing Feldy to go over the wall, uses the ultimate, get a White Boy though, being able to back off as Brady's making his way, uses the arrows to go ahead and slow him down as Feldy goes in, trying to find the Nami, but not gonna be able to do so. Nami then nearly taken down by a Mystic shot as Zazio comes in, trying to chase him down. Tekio gonna be able to take out Feldy, and the fight is continuing. Tekio uses the Unleashed Power, gonna be able to take out Nivea as they go for the double kill. That's gonna be Gumi now looking for him as Get It White Boys going on a kill spree, taking out the Ezreal on the bot side. Cassante takes out Tekio, takes out those kills, but now it's only Cassante left alone. Can he do it once again? Does have the all out, has the extra damage, but this time he's being ticked down under his turret, and it's not gonna be enough. The flurry of arrows as the explosion from Zazakill takes him out, and that is the ace for Team Apex Black. It's all JJ is nice. The Karma left all alone. We can only track so much. The inhib tower and the inhibitor gonna be dropped, and that's gonna be it for the fight as Team Apex Black blows this game open now with a 6K gold lead.
Bit of an overextension from Tilt Esports in the mid lane, punished hard by Team Apex as they do get the ace. They do lose Tekio as Gumi goes over the wall, but then tries to hold the mid wave and loses his life for it. So Team Apex even further in the lead now, 6K up. Going to look towards Baron, but I think they should try to reset first, spend some of that gold that they have picked up. And one of the things that I think is a challenge for TA in terms of scaling is that there's a Scion on the other team that can just eat Ezreal Qs all day long and not really care. He has the Warmogs, he has the shield, he has a lot of armor, so I think that Darterwolf is going to need some sort of armor penetration item here. Presumably that would be the Surreal does, but we'll see what he ends up going for. He just needs a way to get through that front line because he does good damage when he's hitting the back line, but he's not always able to do that. And you know the positioning has to be perfect from this Ezreal if he wants to be able to hit the back line without dealing with that Scion first. I feel like the Anivia also is not doing enough damage quite yet. That Leandries is going to help chunk through the tanks and give a little survivability, but yeah, it feels like really a lot of the damage is coming from that Cassante, who is 6-2, a pretty major threat here as we approach the 30-minute mark, but isn't the most consistent in getting target access. You can see he had to burn the ult in the last fight to finish off Tekio, despite that Syndra being extremely low, and Apex is looking for a collapse here.
We're going to see Intrusive Crystal Arrow able to land onto the enemy support as the bubble's going to go down. JJ is nice, going to be forced to flash as Nami's nearly taken out. Veldy going to utilize this ultimate, trying to keep damage off of him as the Drake is going to spawn, forcing the flash out of the Nami, but nearly takes out Gated White Boys and shut down. And Nivea going to be able to take that kill. Wiltshire Jungle looking for the kill, but not going to be able to get it. Just ever so barely lives as he takes out the enemy jungle, but a double kill going over to the Anivia. But now it is 3 versus 3 as the all-out comes through from Gumi. Zaza kill though, nearly taken down as Ezreal's consistent mystic shots. They bring him back in, and Gumi is now in the back line looking for the enemy support. Zazakill is looking for JJ is nice. Not going to be able to get it. That's going to be Darterwolf now dropping down a lot of damage as the Glacial Storm comes through. Brady's going to be able to chick it down, and that's going to be Zazakill possibly losing his life on the bot side as Gumi's going to be able to take out Tekio. Zazakill though gets taken into the passive as the Anivia is also taken into hers, but that might just be the end of her life if she can get away, able to land a stun from the crystal, from the Flash Frost. Going to be just enough to get them away, and that's a one fight for the Drake, stopping the soul right here for the side of Team Apex Black. Very well done as they try to get the pick on the JJ is nice, but a nicely well-timed flash stops any more engage, and they were able to get that win.
Yeah, Tilt Esports Ascension with a much needed fight victory to stall out the soul. Oh, Nami walking in, trying to stop the backs. But not going to
Wasn't
find
gonna.
it. Brady also had a major flank on Anivia there to help pick off Wheelchair Jungle and to get at White Boy, taking out a lot of the sustained damage in the team fight there. And then Gumi threatening Tekio constantly in the backline, buys so much time for the rest of the team to take out that Scion, who Zazakel really does not go down easily. But if you give the Ezreal enough time, it will happen. It's such a long process. So finding those creative angles, with the Anivia, the Xin Zhao, anyone who can get onto Tekio really, who I think is kind of the biggest
Oh
threat
no,
right now for the
Feldy.
Ooh.
Oh no, here's JJ is nice. Right behind them alongside Anivia. They don't want to try to go in and set the bubble's gonna land on the Dart 11 and dish out a lot of damage. Wheelchair Jungle trying to look for the kill, but it's probably gonna be the one that's gonna be found first. Actually, it's gonna be a trade 1-for-1 as now Anivia is gonna be able to take the kill onto the Ash. Brady going on a killing spree. This is Tilt Esports making their comeback as they bring the goal within 2.4k.
Tekio looking for the assassination. JJ is nice, has to be careful here because that support karma is very squishy. And we've seen already once this game, the support walking in for vision when the rest of the team wasn't yet in the area. Now, TA has to respond to the super minions in the mid lane. That inhibitor has been doing some work for Team Apex in terms of the map control, making it harder for TA to trade anything back even after they win these team fights. Ideally, they would have liked to get that mid lane turret down in addition to the Drake after they won the earlier fight. But instead, they have to respond. It is a lot of farm that they are able to collect off of that, though, which is going to help them bring back the gold lead a little bit more. It is only 2,500 in Team Apex Black's favor, and so TA in a pretty good spot if they can find a good angle. I really think the wall from Brady is the thing that can decide these fights. If he gets a good wall to section the team apart and help find a pick. But a lot of the flashes are going to be up for this fight. The Graves and Ashe both have theirs. So I think Tekio needs to be the focus if they are going to fight for this Baron. It looks like Team Apex might want to make a move towards bot, but both of these top laners are so tanky that making a side lane play onto either of them is going to chew up a lot of your time.
And then also a lot of the resources too. Like you said, both of these two extremely tanky. It's going to be very difficult to chew through either one of these two tanks. So either person who makes a side lane play, it's hoping that you can kill them first. I think if you can get it White Boy down there on the Ash is gonna allow at least a little bit more tank busting in comparison to, like, say, if Darter Wolf was down there. So at the very least, I think they need to start playing a little bit more around the Ash and trying to get that consistent damage from Get a White Boy down onto the enemy team. What I don't like seeing is, like, it feels like as if they're just kind of, Apex is just kind of letting the map state kind of just stay stagnant. As some people were pointing out, like, the mid lane already has super, so where are we trying to push? Where else are we going? So right now I just want to see where, like, it's starting to get to that point of the game where things become a lot more even. Like, items start to become more even. It's harder to start, like, again, these tanks are becoming so damn tanky, so it's starting to get harder and harder to chew through them, and it's extending these fights significantly. So who's going to ultimately end up winning these fights? And right now it's who has the more sustainable damage, and it actually has been Team Apex, especially like you said, off of Brady with the ability to kind of wall people off and having the constant AoE damage, and then Gumi getting into those backlines and being able to find the targets that are necessary to take out, so then the damage no longer is applicable from the side of Team Apex. Hold on. Nearly taken, has to flash away from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Another one that's gonna miss, but it does get a valuable resource. Now that Karma no longer having flash can be a potential target. And Scatter the Weak gonna land on the 2 members. This is looking like the fight that's needed. The Tunnel Wave gonna be able to land on the 3, but that's Feldy utilizing the ultimate as Zazakiel goes into the backline. But there is no Gumi here. There is no Kasante, so there's not as much damage. Feldy now gonna be nearly taken out as Anivia is gonna drop alongside Feldy, but that's also gonna be Tekio taken down as Gumi goes into the back line and does find Get It White Boy, or does find Wheelchair Jungle. Get It White Boy's gonna be able to take out Darter Wolf on the bot side, but Gumi though doesn't realize once the Ash is there's a lot of damage coming out, and that's gonna be the ace. 5-for-1, and they're looking for the Baron as the next objective.
That could just be game if they just push mid, but they're gonna opt for the Baron instead. Only 20 seconds on the Karma, but 30 on the Anivia. They are gonna go for that buff and try to play it safe, take that, get the Ocean Soul spawning now as well, which should also help them secure the victory. But I thought that fight looked okay for TA despite the abysmal start. With multiple members getting caught out, Darterwolf was able to pick off the Syndra, but the fight was just so disjointed. TA was so split that Team Apex was able to win out in the end. At this point of the game, the Ashe is a major damage threat, not just a utility pick. She can do it all. And the Scion also extremely tanky in those extended fights. So it's going to be the Baron and the Ocean Soul claimed by Team Apex Black. They are going to try to use that to end the game, presumably. The Anivia and Ezreal can do a decent job stalling. They have a lot of long range kind of wave clear, but when the buff is active, Ezreal definitely struggles to take out those minions a lot more. You can see takes multiple Qs just to get through the melee minion there. So if Team Apex is pressuring alongside those waves, they can get those minions in. They want to, split up, make sure that they're getting pressure down in multiple lanes so Anivia can't just clear everything. And if Brady walks up too far, he might be in danger here.
Yeah, but now the rest of the team is here trying to help get some of this damage down onto this turret, and they're going to chunk it down quite a bit. I'm waiting for the arrow to come out as a tidal wave. Going to go wide, not going to be able to land. One lightning lands on the wheelchair jungle, and they're looking for the engage. Feldy is there. Darterwolf not going to be able to get the enhanced misses shot onto wheelchair jungle as they're pushing these minions into the mid lane. The crystal wall going to be able to drop down, stopping the minions from advancing any further and allowing them to chunk down a lot of the minion wave. Killed, and there's no more advance up into this top side. When becomes lightning, True Shot Barrage gonna land. Wheelchair jungle now being the first target found, as the wall is gonna be able to keep him off. Feldy chasing down as he uses ultimate to deny any more damage. They're gonna continue pushing down. Ashe taking the blue buff, as that is that's actually 2 or 3 different resources that were utilized on the side of Tilt Esports as they're trying to deter a little bit more. We do see that we do have we only have 1 ultimate though available on the side of Team Apex, so this is possibly the window that they need to get this fight
for the
kill, but a big stun from the Scatter of the Week gonna land, and Tekio gonna be able to get able to take Brady off on that side, taking him out. Mid laner going down for the side of Tilt Esports, and they're gonna continue down the chases. They're trying to take them to top in him. Tidal Wave gonna come out, land on the Feldy. Feldy was not long for this world as he gets taken out by the mid laner. 2 kills going over to the Syndra as Gumi is being arrowed down. Top lane inhib gonna drop. Baron and powered minions barreling in, and they're looking for these Nexus turrets as Zazakill is trying to thin out the wave. Darterwolf trying to land some damage down, but the Ezreal can only do so much when he's in the face of a Scion. Gumi trying to get a little bit of damage as wheelchair jungle is gonna die as he's gonna be taken down. The Tristan arrow gonna find the kill right at the very end. One more hit, and that's the Nexus drop 2-0, and they're on potential game point for the side of Team Apex.
Team Apex closing out the game in dominant fashion. It was close for a long time, especially with that pentakill from Gumi. It never feels good to get a pentakill and lose the game, but that is the struggle of kind of being the tank top lane player. It's a lot harder to make that gold work for you. And in that game especially, there were just so many angles that Apex was finding on to Tilt's carries. Even with the even with good performances out of a lot of the players on the side of Tilt Esports, eventually I think the damage and the utility that Team Apex Black had in their draft, as well as just taking some good fights to get themselves the Baron and the Soul, was enough for them to close out that game.
Yeah, and that was honestly, it was crazy to watch because they played this particular composition, they played it so much better in comparison to game 1, where I honestly was like, nah, Tilt, you guys actually have this. And I believe that it was their game for about the first 22-23 minutes, and then all of a sudden we saw the Syndra completely obliterate not only Anivia, but also the Karma. And it was like, oh, so that's how fed Tekio is right now on this Syndra. And again, I didn't think that there was the consistent damage that was needed to be able to shred down this Scion. You're trying to use Mystic shots into a Scion. Like, that was just like, oh, you see Ezreal, just they pick a beefy tank to go ahead and absorb so much more of that damage. And Also, though, Anivia was supposed to be able to help a little bit. The Leandries with the consistent AoE damage from the Glacial Storm was supposed to be able to keep Scion at bay and hopefully shred them down enough where then the rest of the team can then clean up the rest of the members because there would be no tank to eat up all that damage. But no, it was just they just didn't have what it didn't have the ability to be able to be like, all right, let's go ahead and take down Scion. He was just too beefy of a boy, and that allowed the rest of the members to be able to just go off the back of this frontliner and just go and rain havoc on the rest of the side of Tilt Esports. I honestly am kind of impressed with how they played, especially with Tilt kind of fighting an uphill battle a little bit. The only thing I can say is that maybe the Zinzao was not the best pick into everything. Like multiple moments where it felt like it did work. Like you said, there was times where they were like they had the Thief Talent Strike charged up, so they went in immediately, were able to get the knock up and secure a kill, and they were able to help in multiple ways. But it didn't really feel as if it had as much of an influence on the game as I was hoping from Feldy. Uh, Now this is literally Team Apex on match point. Was supposed to be a potential 5-game series, or predicted to be a potential 5-game series, is right now looking potential 3-0. So Freedom, before we go, what do you think needs to change for the side of Tilt Esports for them to be able to potentially do the reverse sweep?
I mean, this game I liked what I saw out of top and bot especially. I think we're playing pretty well. The Ezreal Karma had some struggles into the Scion just because of the nature of the draft, but I feel like I want to see Feldy get a little bit more of those creative gank angles. I feel like he was on a pick that had a lot of early game potential, but was still kind of at a disadvantage. I felt like both junglers honestly had a slow start in this game. It wasn't until much later on that wheelchair jungle was able to like have a lot of impact on that Graves. That's kind of the nature of those carry champs, is if you're not getting big early, it takes a while. But yeah, I think a little more influence in the lanes from Feldy could do a lot of work. And I also just want to see the for TA, if they want to make this comeback happen, they need to be more coordinated in how they're approaching these dragon fights and more decisive with calling off when something isn't a good fight. We've seen multiple times this series they try to force their way into a fight that just should never happen. Even sometimes giving over the soul point, as long as it's not the complete dragon soul, can still be worth it. It's better to give over the equivalent of somewhere around like one to 2,000. I think the dragons are roughly around 2,000 gold worth of like value, is my recollection from what the devs have said. Giving that over can be a lot better than taking a fight where you also lose 2,000 to 3,000 gold just flat, and you lose the dragon because it was a bad fight to start with. If you can get your money up while the other team's doing Drake, a lot of times it's worth it. And so yeah, I want to see them be a little more decisive in saying this is a fight that we want. We're going to be there early. We're going to get our vision under control, and we're going to take this fight on our terms, or it's not a good fight. We're just going to back off, let them have it, and try to do something on the other side of the map. Because I think that's really been the thing that's killed them in both of these games, has been those key second or third dragon fights where they're getting caught and going down and really giving Team Apex the momentum.
Exactly. And that's where it's like, because again, this early game this time around was significantly played better. We saw that even like Brady was having some advantages in the mid lane against the Syndra up until a certain point, but it was still like early game. It felt like the laning phases were significantly more even. It felt like everybody was fighting. It was, they were dishing back blows to one another. And so they show the Tilt Esports show that they can definitely punch up with to Apex, but right now it's not it's just not enough. So they got to really, really lock in here. And with Lock gone, we ain't got to worry about that no more. But they even though Lock's gone, you got to lock in. And I want everybody in the audience to go ahead and lock in. If you are a Tilt Esports, y'all need to put your hands up. We got to get the Spirit Bomb going for them. They really need y'all energy right now to be able to come back in this series. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this break. Will Team Apex close out this series with a 3-0 to begin off the playoffs? Or is it going to be Tilt Esports making a comeback and taking this next game 3 and potentially bringing us a reverse sweep? Don't go anywhere, because we will find out in game 3 right after this.
like do 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 do, like do 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 crazy, oh 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 crazy, oh 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 crazy crazy, oh oh crazy, oh 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 crazy, do 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 crazy, do 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 crazy, do 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 crazy, do 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 crazy crazy, do do like do 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 do, like do 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 crazy, oh do do like do 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 do, like do 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 crazy, oh.
And welcome back to Titan Esports Conqueror League as we are looking to get into game 3 of Tilt Esports Ascension versus Team Apex Black. And if you guys just missed that game too, it looked like for a moment Tilt Esports was making that absolute comeback that they needed to. They looked like they had control of the game for the very beginning, but then all of a sudden, the jet engines turned on for the side of Apex Black. They activated Super Saiyan. We started seeing the deletion from the Syndra. We started seeing the absolute tanky Scion, and they just couldn't get through it. Even with the pentakill on the side of Tilt Esports, it wasn't enough, and they ended up losing, now going down 2-0 in this series. Freedom Potatoes, what are you thinking about before we get into this game 3?
I am expecting. I'm expecting Apex to keep the momentum up, but TA is still. They've shown that they can fight back. You know, if they can keep things getting on the up and up from that second game, because we saw, you know, game 1 I think was really quite rough from TA. Game 2 a little better. If they can keep things going, on that trend, then maybe they'll be in an okay spot. The pools are going to be a lot more pinched, and it feels like some of the drafting from TA has kind of been hate drafting to try to take things away from the enemy team. So maybe this is the long game paying off in a big way for them, where the enemy team is not going to have much available for them to pick from the comfort pool. We'll see. That's kind of what I would be hoping for the side of TA, but it's I think if they get themselves some comfort picks, I also want to see Gumi continue to play kind of the carry role in the top lane. I feel like Zazakil plays a lot of tanks, and a lot of those are exploitable on the more carry type top laners. That's something they could potentially draft early for themselves. We'll see what side TA ends up on, but especially if you get like the red side, you pick top on the third pick, ban away something before that second phase, then you could be setting up a big performance for Gumi, which we have seen him display proficiency on some of these picks in these games.
And I think a lot of people are expecting basically like, okay, TA, you guys have seen like your bot lane is okay, your mid lane's okay. They want to. I think a lot of people are expecting Gumi to kind of take the team on the back right now and be that charging force that allows Tilt Esports to kind of say like, we have the avenues to be able to win. I do agree that it does feel like a lot of the champ select throughout this series has just been Tilt Esports saying like, hey, we know you guys like to pick this, so we're gonna ban as much against you as we can, pick something that's you play that is strong against you, and then hope that we just play it better. And the thing is that if that would be a good strategy if you came into this practiced more on the champions. And unfortunately it feels like that's where some of the gaps are showing, is not really necessarily the skill level, it's more of the proficiency in the champions. And so I really want to just see Tilt at this moment pick some stuff up that is just going to be comfort, that you know you can win on, that you know that you're comfortable that you're able to actually play and really put the mechanics out there onto your keyboard and transmit them into the Rift. As we are getting the picks coming through, as we just saw in the first ban phase, it is going to be for Apex side Leona, Neela, and Lilia. That's too many A's at the end. And then on the side of Tilt Esports, they're going to ban out the Rek'Sai, the Echo, and the Wukong. First pick was Apex with the Nocturne as the blind blue side pick, going into a Vi Ari, which has been I remember that was an pretty old staple combination for some time, and that's always been one that's I feel like some people fall back to when they're looking for a pretty consistent like old type of Renekton Nidalee kind of combination that always, you know, like pseudo it. But then I really like this. We don't see an Orianna picked immediately. Instead, we get the Shen, which feels almost just as good as the ball, like the instant ball delivery. Imagine Paranoia immediately into a Stand United Nocturne going in with the Stand United dropped on top of him. Now you have the Shen just transmuted into the fight. So this is looking absolutely. This is going to be a really interesting combination from Team Apex, as they also go with the Tristana there. What's looking probably going to go into the ADC role, and the Nautilus then picked up for Tilt Esports.
Yeah, that Vi Ari combination, always potent. Point and click CC plus lethal skill shot equals win. But the Shen ultimate going to put a big dent in that. Then the spell shield from Nocturne as well, going to be a pretty big issue for TA. They have a lot of key skill shots that can be stopped by the Nocturne. Now, when you have enough hard CC, stop maybe blocking one of those abilities isn't enough. But I think the Shen and the Tristana are both really good responses, giving some mobility and some peel for whoever they pick up in the mid lane as well. I was interested to see the Nautilus grabbed by TA when they saw the Shen Tristana shown. I guess it can kind of help lock down the Tristana. You can grab her out of her jump and punish her. for overstepping that way. It's a great pairing with the Kaisa as well. But still, seeing the Shen does make that Nautilus pick feel a little scarier, because hard engaging is, can be dangerous once Shen hits 6. And there is going to be the Alistar picked up alongside the Tristana, so a lot of knockbacks down in that bot lane. This is another lane I would expect to be kind of perma-fighting. Ooh. And Talia going to be picked up in the mid lane for Tekio. Not as aggressive of a champion, going to be a little bit more on the defensive side here, but still has plenty of opportunity to roam around the map and make plays with that triple global comp.
That unraveled earth for all of these different dashes that are gonna come out is gonna look so this Talia is gonna be like, is literally saying, ooh, e-stonks, because they just really have to drop that, and it's like, oh, Ari goes in with the spirit rush. Technically, even if Kaisa goes in with the killer instinct, dashing through those rocks still does the damage, so negating a lot of that shielding that she's supposed to be able to get. There's so much when the dredge line hits, if you dash in, oh wait a second, you're going over the earth. Vi with the Vault Breaker, same thing. Even the public execution, I believe, will also, there's way too much that's gonna, oh man, this is not gonna be a fun time just for that one aspect. And there's a lot of non-fun aspects, as we mentioned, for the side of Team Apex that now Tilt has to deal with. Alistair constantly being able to bump you, headbutt you away potentially from whatever engage that you did end up getting. Tristana having the ability to rocket jump away even and potentially disengage anything that you have done. Like I'll say this though, the big thing that they changed, way more CC this time around, and I really do like to see that there's a bit more CC from the side of Tilt Esports. I think that's something that was missing consistently from their compositions. Vi has some guaranteed CC. There's a lot of guaranteed CC from Nautilus as well, and then that does kind of allow for Mbessa to be able to land theirs. Then even like the Charm can be considerably a decent bit of CC from them too. So I'm kind of curious to see which team is going to end up winning. We should be getting those predictions up very soon. To see what you guys decide. I'm still kind of on the side of Team Apex, just sheerly from, it's a 2-0 lead. They're probably feeling really good about how they're playing right now. And even with it, being like, oh yeah, this is like potentially even like, I think possibly the best composition so far from the side of Tilt Esports. They still got to play it into this team that I feel like they know they feel pretty comfortable on what they're playing right now. So, or they have a grip on what the composition is also supposed to do. So we should see how well this goes. I do like seeing the more carry top laner in the Mbessa up on the top side against the Shen this time around. Just because, again, we want to give Gumi the potential to be able to do that extra damage to get into backlines and carry a bit more, which was something that consistently they were doing in that last game with the Cassante. They just didn't have all the damage to be able to get some of those extra kills. But I think with the consistent shielding on the Mbessa and then the ability to sustain in that backside once with the public execution, basically giving them a free reign into the back line. This should be pretty interesting to see how well Gumi can do this time around. I think we'll give him much more of a carry performance.
Flash in.
Oh, and they're going in, but it's not going to be enough. Feldy tries to get it, forces the flash out of Tekio there. The Unravel Earth, once again, going to be dropped. And that is a little bit of an example from both sides of what we're going to end up seeing. Feldy being significantly more on the offensive this time around, it feels. And that was a lot more of an earlier engage from Feldy than any of the last 2 games that they did.
I want to see that summoner spell punished once again. It's one thing to get the flash down. It's another thing to actually turn it into a tangible lead. And so Gumi having some nice trades up in the top lane. I feel like Mbessa isn't the worst matchup in the world for Shen. He can get to be pretty tanky into her, but she does like those long, scrappy fights. But yeah, I like that Feldy is getting out and putting down some major aggression early on in the game here. I think if Brady had buffered that charm a little more properly with the Vault Breaker, we could have seen a potential first blood, but it is a short CC. It's tough to get that timing perfect where Tekio has no time to flash. And still, flash on Vi for flash on the mid laner is a reasonably good trade. Again, I just want to see it revisited because I feel like that's something that TA have not capitalized super hard on, is getting those summoners, but then not like decisively following up on it. It's felt a little more by accident than really on purpose in some situations.
Oh, I wish Shen didn't stay. He was so close to the back, potentially gonna get tower dove here, and he's ready for a Zaza kill. Calls back in the sword, trying to do something. Gets the Volk Breaker down, able to deny so much. Taunts in, gonna get the solo kill and reverses it back. Shen takes it first blood over the Zaza killing team. Apex Black in the top lane.
Yeah, I don't think you want to tower dive a Shen. Maybe if Feldy had flash and could kind of play around that a little more, but as it is, he has a built-in shield, some hard CC, and an area where he can completely make himself immune to auto attacks, which is most of your damage in the early game, and so it's really just a light tickle that Feldy does. Ends up being an overcommitment, and Gumi is the one who pays for it.
That was actually, like, the setup was great. Okay, the setup was great, and I think Zazakill knew in that moment that the Vi was there and was just like, that's why he had the back there. He was trying to bait it in and didn't even use his flash. Was able to, oh, there's the charm landing, a lot of damage on the Tekio, but now here's Wheelchair Jungle going in looking for Brady. Brady does not have their ultimate just yet, so can't really Spirit Rush away, but has a lot of damage being brought down onto Brady. Gets the charm onto Wheelchair Jungle, bringing him closer to the tower. Brady able to absorb that gank nicely, well done. But as Sherigan saying, Zazakill, call an ambulance, but not for me, as the headbutt goes in, pulverizes, knocking up JJ is nice, as Nitro Kill able to absorb a lot of damage, get a White Boy now just farming the lane, as they're able to, unfortunately gonna miss that cannon, big oof for the ADC, but Feldy now making their way towards the bot lane, but we still do have that headbutt potential, could definitely knock back the Vi, so that was just a little like deterrent gank, that's all.
Yeah, a little bit of an obvious angle now. It is going to be the Dragon started by Feldy as TA's bot lane tries to get control over the bot lane, but Tekio's there first in the mid lane. That gank from Nocturne, even though it didn't do much damage to Brady, did delay his reset, made it hard for the Ahri to shove in the wave and show up to this fight early. And I think that is still a good play overall, because otherwise we might have been looking at a first Drake for TA here. Ooh, hook goes wide. Wheelchair Jungle is still fighting for presence in the bush.
Yeah, you don't want to. And that's the thing I've noticed about Wheelchair Jungle consistently throughout these games. Like, he wants to fight for vision a lot. Like, he wants to deny as much vision. There's anything I've learned about League of Legends over the many years that I've played this game. It's more of vision and information is. And it's like an invisible lead. Like, a lot of these things that we don't see it directly on the gold grabs, but when you're getting like these small little bits of like vision and stuff, it feels like an invisible lead. But Zazakill getting Gumi to absorb so much damage, taunting under the tower. Gumi going too aggressive into the Shen, and Zazakill gonna get another solo kill up in the top side.
Yeah, that was, I think, really just an error from Gumi, or maybe even lag. I felt like he had the opportunity to dash out several times there and just didn't. So either a mechanical misinput or something else going on there leads to a second kill for the Shen. And this is the matchup that TA picked as their counter pick on R5. So you really don't want to be getting behind in that counter matchup. Yeah, that's just not good for your game state one bit. Luckily for the rest of TA, there hasn't been too much action on the rest of the map. They've kind of been able to hold their own in most of these lanes. Now that Feldy is 6, I am looking for him to try to blow open one of these lanes. Tekio's flash is back up, so mid lane not going to be the easiest one to play around, as Brady has Alistar coming behind and a Nocturne.
Oh, here we go. The paranoia being activated, and Brady found all alone. Uses the flash and the spirit rush to be able to get away. That's going to be the jungle ultimate for the flash and ultimate for Brady. Nicely done to be able to get that resource away from the Ahri.
Really well executed gank by the side of Team Apex. Even though they don't get the kill, it's two major defensive tools blown by the Ahri, going to hamper her pressure a lot and probably give over the Drake as well. The Nocturne ultimate means that he can't see the Alistar flanking around and gets headbutted even closer to turret. Ooh, here comes Feldy, but not able to catch up to the Talia thanks to that stone surfing.
Not going to be able to get the seismic shove, but now Wheelchair Jungle here to be able to support at the Vault Breaker. Going to go in. Wheelchair Jungle now trying to get the fear down, but going to get charmed up as Brady's trying to walk away. Doesn't have the Spirit Rush this time, and Tekio gets the shove this time around as well, and is able to take him out. But now Nautilus all alone, forced behind the wall as the Tristana rocket jumps over, and Wheelchair Jungle gonna secure that dredge line support. JJ is nice. Drop down down, and and that's gonna be another kill. And the Drake going over to Apex Black. They're commanding this lead 8 minutes in, and they're about 1.5k up.
Disarray for Tilt Esports Ascension, as they can't really seem to be on the same page there. Brady and Feldy taking the 2v2 when Ari has no ult. Feldy doesn't commit the cease and desist either, so you know, the lockdown doesn't come through, tries to back off the play, but as he's backing off, Brady gets caught with no flash. Then JJ is nice is trying to roam up to the play, but gets caught out by the Talia wall and collapsed on by Nitro Kid with the Alistar. It's just a lot more coordinated from Apex across the board to pick up those early kills, and they've got themselves a 4-0 lead, 1.7k gold. The Grubs are going to be traded by Feldy here. At least 2 of them. We'll see. The Wheelchair Jungle might be able to get this one.
No, not going to be able to secure it as Feldy uses the Vault Breaker to go over the wall. Gets all 3 Void Grubs this time around for the first time in the series. But right now, it's just not feeling good as the Paranoia gets used. Going in on the Mbessa. Mbessa, though, right under their tower, going to be able to get away from there. I don't know how I feel about that Paranoia use. I mean, yeah, it gives you a little bit of alleviation, but I don't think the Shen necessarily needed that pressure alleviated up in the top side. I think it was, oh, that's unfortunate. That not going to be able to get that onto the Tristana there. But I don't think it was a necessary thing, especially considering that it's not like you're really it's not like you're putting fear into anybody when they just saw you roam up that top side with the Nocturne R. So I feel like that was a misused Nocturne R. Maybe it was a fat finger, so he just ended up using it anyways. That could also be it, but you know, I would have rather waited for that one. But it's already 1/3 of the way up, so should be around for the next big fight.
And I do want to see JJ is nice also get out onto the map a little bit more. You can see while Nitro Kid 576 is out making plays, or at least trying to, up in the top side, Nautilus is just camping in the bush and trying to deny Tristana farm, which has resulted in a 5 CS lead for the Kaisa, which that is disappearing as we speak as Get It White Boy collects the wave. So I feel like the Alistar has had a little bit more impact early on, has the boots rush to be a little more mobile on the map instead of rushing for the support item. And yeah, I feel like that's something that they could be doing better for the side of TA.
Yeah, and it's just so weird to see, like, this is the first time actually this series where TA doesn't have doesn't have the actual initial lead or control for the game. This time around, Apex is actually coming out guns blazing. They want to be able to command the lead immediately, and so far they've been able to do so. The constant agency on the map from Wheelchair Jungle, the 2v1 dive that failed up in the top side to give the first blood, and then also Gumi attempting a 1v1 under the tower once again, and then losing to that Shen. That was just very unfortunate to have to watch there up in that top side, and it's already ballooned into 3 different gold leads happening in 3 different parts of the map. We also have 3 different shutdowns already to display. The top side of the map right now, and eventually this Tristana is going to get to a point where she's just going to be very, very difficult to stop, because she's another one of those, you know, sleeper hyper carries, if I have to say so myself.
So we've got Drake spawning up.
Oh no, wait a second. Feldy caught in between a cow and a hard place. Trying to use the Vault Breaker. Paranoia coming through. Able to drop down. And Wheelchair Jungle gonna clean up the scraps. And you're going back to the gray screen. The Vi is taken down as Zazakill is looking to fight against the Vessel. Public Execution actually gonna land onto him, but it's not gonna be enough as Zazakill is continuing into the fight. Still able to survive against the Shen. Levels up. Completes his quest and is wanting to keep that fight going. But that was such a good pick off from the side of Apex to get rid of the jungle. And they, even though it wasn't when the dragon fight was up, it was still a nice little pick to put the Vi a little bit more behind and give a little bit more. Oh man, that's so much damage from Get It White Boy on the Darterwolf. Darterwolf now forced to back off of his turret. Barrier had to be used. A little bit of turret damage taken by Get It White Boy. Dredgeline not gonna miss as the fastest forced by Get It White Boy, but the ultimate is coming out as he's going in. He says, if I'm gonna die, I'm taking you with me. Looking for the Kaiser. Kaiser uses the clear instinct to get away, able to pop the bomb, so they're able to get the jock and jump back as Nitro Kid is gonna be dropping down. First kill going over to Darterwolf, but they're continuing the chase as JJ is nice, taken down to about 1/3 HP as Brady is now here with the Ari, but the fight is over. Stand United was used to give a little bit of shielding and to save their life. Gumi able to push into this top lane. I think you could say overall that is a win for the side of Tilt Esports.
I would say an underratedly massive win. I mean, that's two global ultimates committed to the bot side, and the TA still comes out on top with the kill. It's you know, it's not the biggest kill to get, but there was a lot used that's now not going to be available for the fight. The whole time Gumi was also hitting those platings up in the top lane, so should be able to have a major item completion on back here. The Eclipse is completed now. Feldy also has first item completed. Basically everyone in the game does now, and that is going to make a big difference for this second dragon fight, where it feels like, yeah, TA actually have a shot at fighting here. The Shen has taken over the mid lane. Talia is up top into Gumi, and there are TPs available for the majority of the players in this lobby. Seems like Apex actually might be backing out, though. They are sending Tekio down towards the mid lane. Gumi going to continue pushing out the top lane. And what I do want to see from TA is if you can bait the enemy players around the map, you know, sitting in river, wasting time, and you're collecting farm and platings, you can work back this gold lead without needing to get a single kill. But here comes Paranoia.
Paranoia now drop, ends up finding the vision, finds somebody off in the backside. Wheelchair Jungle, though, caught in between 3 different members, gonna try to use the blast cone, able to get over the walls. Gumi's trying to find him off on the backside. That's gonna be the depth charge being used, but the puppet execution flashed away, gonna barely be able to miss as they find Brady off on the top side. But now in the middle of the fight, Brady's able to take over Wheelchair Jungle as Gator White Boy's gonna be able to start getting kills off on the bot side. That's Kaisa gonna be dropped as TA is trying to go, but the channel coming in from the Vault Breaker gonna be able to find the Tristan off on the backside. As Feldy gonna be able to take them, out and continuing down the chase. Zaza kill nearly taken out as Ari able to top the Ari. Zaza could go on the killing spree, but then Bessa gonna be able to slay him down. Nitro Kid, though, nearly taken out. Seismic Shell gonna be able to land on the Gumi, able to put them in, and that's gonna be the win over to the side of Tilt Esports. But Tekio still looking for a little bit more. Feldy does have the smite ready, able to go ahead and secure this Drake for themselves, and that's gonna be the objective over to Tilt Esports and the fight.
And this time it's Wheelchair Jungle ulting in with the Paranoia too deep, having to flash away and still getting chased down. The fight was close thanks to a big taunt flash from Zazakel, but in the end, it's a one fight for the side of Tilt Esports Ascension, and they have stopped the bleeding as far as dragons go. So they are going to be able to get out on the map. We'll see if they try to fight for this Rift Herald. I think they can be reasonably comfortable giving that away. We haven't seen much Rift Herald value, at least when TA has gotten it, but maybe Team Apex has some plans up their sleeve with that objective. Nautilus is walking in, but he's got to be careful because Talia's waiting on the side.
And so is Zazakill roaming right down as he has the advantage up on that top side. So they're going to push that out. Blue team going to be able to get that Rift Herald there. So this is actually the interesting point of the fight, because that was one of those ones where I was like, I didn't like seeing Wheelchair Jungle just barrel in the moment he gained vision on somebody with that Paranoia. I don't think that was an absolute necessary thing to do, especially once they saw that ultimate drop. They were all backing off. So I think you could have at least taken the you could have used that ultimate to kind of take the reset on the fight, and it possibly could have ended up in your favor. So that was a very interesting one for them to do, and it basically gave up the entire gold lead that they had developed. Now it's starting to go over to this. It's starting to slowly getting back to the side of Tilt Esports as they brought the gold from 2,000 to within 200. And so these guys this is looking very interesting, and they're completely like tied up. Where Rift Herald went over, oh no, Dredgeline gonna land on the Nitro Kid. Now the Paranoia being dropped, and they're looking for targets, but it's not gonna Wheelchair Jungle this time. Not gonna go in as they see the TP coming through. Brady Dowden comes from the top side. That's the TP out from the Ari for the Paranoia used. So that's at least a really decent, that's actually a nice resource to get from the enemy side, as now Talia is going to be able to push in these plays. But the public execution going to be able to land onto Zazakill as Gumi is going in. But the rest of the members from the side of Tilt Esports are also here. TP now being channeled as Talia is looking to go down, but the charm is potentially almost going to land. And it's not going to stop the TP from Tekio. I believe they did get the Spirit Rush out of Ari up in that top side too. So ultimate teleport down for a teleport as the Nautilus ultimate going to land onto Talia, but with them under the tower, stops the Vault Breaker from going in with the headbutt. Nitro Kid completely helps disengage that dive, and that's gonna be more plates, more gold over to the side of Apex as they get this tower in the mid lane and utilize the Rift Herald charge in a useful way for the first time this series, as they're trying to get the double charge here. Julian piling it up all the way towards the top side and wants to try to hit that turret, but not going to be able to pilot it to it. So hopefully Shelly will be able to just barrel that, but I don't think she's going to be
I
able
think the
to, taking
minion,
a lot of
yeah.
damage, and Brady is up there to be able to stop it, so not going to be enough to be able to get that charge, but at least they were able to use it and get the mid lane for themselves, bringing them back up to a 1k gold lead on the side of Team Apex.
Tilt committing so much bot onto the Shen, but he is quite tanky. Even with 4 members down there, they are not able to get the kill. They do get the TP out of Tekio. They do force a bit of a response, but the Rift Herald in mid does mean that a bit of more gold is earned back by Team Apex. Now, the dangers of hooking in.
Oh man, here comes the paranoia, and Julian goes in as he's gonna be chunked down trying to find the members, but here comes the cease and desist into the end of your life. Police brutality committed on the police as Vi goes down. Then Brady having to use the Spirit Rush, trying to get away, takes the bomb and nearly taken out with their life. Gunning down is Get It White Boys. He puts another charge onto this mid turret and it's going down, and that's so unfortunate. The Vi loses their life, they lose their tier 2 mid tower, and they're possibly gonna be losing even more than that all over the map.
Not much traded back by the side of TA as they do lose that mid turret. That's the danger of taking an engage into this team. Talia can play those fights, play the counter engage so well. You have Shen ultimate as well, and you have the Nocturne who can go in on your backline when you commit those CC tools aggressively. And so the Nautilus's job is honestly really tough in this game because you have a couple key members that you really want to go in on, but if you do, you might be leaving your own squishies out to dry. So the engage really has to be all together, and it's just hard to commit to that when you don't see the enemies, and paranoia makes that even more complicated. We do have another Drake spawning in 10 seconds. Tilt Esports do have the first move here, but their junglers on vision.
Man, and that's a decent chunk of damage actually from him. Paranoia goes in as they do find the Vi. Feldy trying to get away, uses the blast cone, goes over the blue wall and gets away to safety, but that was just enough to deter them from this dragon, as Feldy only has about 20% HP and there's nothing they can really do. They have to just watch this Drake fall.
At least they're not hard committing to the fight this time. Feldy will take the back, and they just give over the second Drake of the game, which is only an Ocean Drake in a composition where they're not playing poke. So that's really not that much value at this stage of the game, but there might be value in a kill.
Oh yeah, and they're finding Gumi there, be able to CC him up, but do they have the damage? Knocking him back, uses the public execution, trying to use the flash, and is able to get away. But now here's Feldy with a renewed health bar, and is looking to use it as they go in with a Volt Breaker, able to find a member as they get the cease and desist down. But now it's trying to get away, but it's not going to be able to live. It's only able to take that kill, and they're continuing the chase. But Kaisa, Killer Instinct goes in as the shutdown goes over on the wheelchair jungle from the Nautilus, and they're finding the other kills as Brady gets Tekio. There's now another member drop as the Shen goes down, and so does Nitro Kid as well. Tristana, though, they do see is just taking these turrets. Yes, they lost 4 members, but the mid tower is gonna be lost for you, and that's the inhibitor tower going down. But does that mean the Baron is the next target for the site of Tilt Esports? Let's see if they can secure it. 11 seconds left on wheelchair jungle. He should be able to get in this. And no, we're seeing the back come from the Kaisa. So instead, they're saying, nope, we're not going to do this. Let's pincer in on Get It White Boy. And he has to find a way to escape. Goes over the wall. Is he going to be able to do it? You're in the wrong place, buddy. It's not going to be enough. You're going to just have to lose the life. And Brady going on a killing spree. He takes the turret and he gives up his life. I think that's the very least that Tristana can do.
At the end of the day, though, that Tristana got 2 turrets in mid lane, I believe, which is a ton of gold value into her pockets. It is a big fight for the side of Tilt Esports, though, getting the 4-for-1 down on the bot side. Gold lead only 1,000 in favor of Team Apex, so if any fight could go either team's way. We see Nitro Kid up there in a flank position, but he has to be careful that he doesn't get pincered himself.
Oh no, the Ari's gonna end up seeing him, gets the headbutt, Pulverize able to land on to him, Foxfire gonna come out, giving a little bit of move speed. Brady then able to get out the way, Trample is stacked up, but now it is taken down. Dredgeline gonna land onto Nitro Kid, as the Baron is taken down to about 7,000 HP. Now they're looking for Witcher, jungle as he's trying to go in, utilizes the paranoia, trying to find targets, but not gonna have the vision to be able to get enough. His Tech is gonna be taken down by Gumi off in the backside, and it's now the fight for Tilt Esports as they're finding Brady on a rampage, but Get It White Boy now gunning him down with the Tristana as they're looking for the next target, gets the double kill, gets the triple kill, trying to go ahead and return the penta. They get the quadra, but it's taken down ever so barely by Darter Wolf. The ace over to the side until Esports, but there's no Baron to be taken.
Outerwolf hanging onto that ult dangerously. That was just a few autos away from a Tristana pentakill there, but it is Tilt Esports Ascension coming out on top with the 5 kills, 4-3 in that fight. Nicely played by Brady to get that opening damage down onto the Talia, set the team up for the play, and then hide back in the Baron pit when Nocturne ulted, so he couldn't get that ult down. Buys time for himself to get another charm off, and even though he does eventually die, it sets up an additional kill for the side of Tilt. So they've got themselves an ever so tiny gold lead now and are showing that they have some real teeth in these fights around the Baron pit, but it still is probably going to be the Ocean Drake in a minute and a half. That's our real contest here, unless a team can find a major pick before then.
Honestly, I love this back and forth between these two teams and how this game is going right now. Definitely, I want to say an overall just better performance from Tilt Esports to be able to constantly keep fighting back like this. But that was an absolutely insane fight because we almost watched the Tristana completely clean this up. So it's actually kind of scary right now because when they're able to get some of that back end damage and able to at least chunk out one of the squishies on the side of Apex, Tilt Esports is able to really get these fights going, especially once Kaisa gets ramped up and she just killer instincts in, is able to find some type of low health target to go after. It works out for them, but the thing is that they still have to still eat away through the Shen, eat away through the ultimate using nitro kit on this on the Alistar. You have so much that you got to just chunk through, and it actually makes this team so much harder to deal damage against. And then with Tekio, unless you can find Tekio or get it White Boy off on the backside, you're not gonna be able to do what you need to do, even like as an Ahri or as, oh wait, hold on.
20 seconds on the Drake. TA needs to get some vision because Apex have the inside track and they are scary to walk into with that Talia.
Yeah, they don't really have a whole lot of vision though. So they gotta just walk into this, and honestly, once again, as they do try to walk into it, the ultimate gets used on the Witcher Jungle as the Paranoia is going to chase down of the Vi, but Foxfire used and get a White Boy able to take that kill. That's gonna be the Ahri dropping down first. As Feldy trying to go over the wall, Darter will force the barrier, but it's gonna go off using the killer instinct. It's probably execution gonna land down. Is get a White Boy's gonna be the first one taking down this Paranoia, as there's gonna be the Nocturne able to take out Kaisa as they can be able to take down the kills. Double kill going over to the Vi as they want to try to get JJ is nice, but is not gonna be able to get that. Nautilus able to get back into the base safely, 2 for 2. But I think if it's looking like if anything, if Vi even goes anywhere near this Drake and tries to take it, it's gonna be Apex pincering in, and it's gonna be just enough for them to clean it all up. Feldy now trying to walk away from Nitro Kid, and they're trying to deter them from the Drake as much as possible. Zaza kill off on the backside here to try to stop them, and it's no jungler for another 7 seconds. Feldy gonna try to go over this wall. Gumi is now here, does find his way over, and does see Tekio, does get the shove, gets a bit of damage, goes golden as Tekio to try to go ahead and stall it out as they flash over the wall. Foxfire or a Spirit Rush being used, chasing him down, and that's gonna be the Talia taken down. This was a really bad Drake take, and that's gonna be 3 members from the side of Apex dropping. What were you guys thinking? You wanted to keep Feldy off of it so bad, and look what happened. You end up losing 2 members and the Drake within that one. It should have been better just to give it up.
That is a crazy sequence of events, as we saw in the initial fight. Tilt going a little too deep and getting punished for it, but off the respawns, they teleport in to punish the hubris of Team Apex with this Drake Star. They had their mid laner soloing it with a really low damage build. Does not chunk through that objective very quickly, and that just buys time for the rest of Tilt to show up and make a major punish happen in the pit. So once again, Tilt Esports Ascension have clawed their way back a little bit in this game. Gold dead even, Drake's dead even, and so it's going to be a question of who can play the fights better. There's not any clear upper hand, but I feel like there's so many champions here with the resets that can make the difference. Tristana for the side of Team Apex has been going huge in some of these fights, dealing so much damage, is on 4 items now, but Brady has been finding some great angles in these fights as well. You can see how much damage he does when he lands the charm, even onto someone as tanky as the Alistar. Just a few rotations of that Ari kit can make a pick happen. We also have Darterwolf nearing completion on the Zonya's Hourglass, which is going to make it that much harder to pick off this Kaisa, who's going aggressive.
Wheelchair Jungle getting chunked up and taken out. Brady able to find that kill as Get a White Boy's looking like the next target. Season Assist comes out and he's not going to be able to get away. Zaza kill, utilizing the Stand United. They're able to find Feldy and he gets the kill. Ari goes golden, but the puppet execution going to be able to get to the backline as Gumi's trying to find Get a White Boy, but Get a White Boy uses the rocket to get away, able to take the double kills. They're going to continue to chase. Darterwolf now goes golden as Brady's almost taken out. It's a triple kill. No, it's not. Zaza kill steals that triple kill over to the Tristana, and it's all that is left is JJ is nice. They thought they had him. They thought they found the fight. Yes, you took out Wheelchair Jungle. Yes, you took out Tekio, but it didn't matter when Get It White Boy is running and gunning you down. Now the Baron looking like the next target as Tristana's gonna take it.
The initial pick on a Wheelchair Jungle is so good, punishing him, like you mentioned earlier, fighting for that vision with his life, and he pays for it with his life. But then TA tries to take the fight one layer deeper when they see the Shen come down and still commit the Violet from Feldy on to Get a White Boy, who is so strong fighting back when you have those bodies in front of you. An underrated part of Tristana scaling is not just the raw damage, but also the range. You can see how hard it is for anyone on TA to touch Get It White Boy. And the Tristana is just free firing in the backline, now on 5 items, dealing immense damage to everyone that she can hit. There is really no one that can stand up to a persistent barrage of autos from this champion. And so you need to make sure you have a plan to deal with the Trist when you go in. Otherwise, it's probably going to be a lost fight at this point. We've got the Drake spawning in 2 minutes, still a ways away. Baron in the pockets for Team Apex Black, and it's a little bit scary for TA to play in their jungle here. They do want to try to make picks happen, but the GA is online for Trist, and there are some other big health bars for them to deal with too.
I do like seeing the Shen utilizing the Stand United to go ahead and try to protect the Talia up on the top side, who was being engaged upon by Gumi, which was a really well-timed Stand United, able to help let your mid laner live as they were trying to push those lanes out and get you the bot turret tier 2 in the bot side. So they actually take that as a win as Tristana rocket jumps in, starts getting a lot of the damage down. Kaisa goes golden, but not going to be long for this world as Get It White Boy goes on a rampage. When that's going to be also the Vi off to the bottom of your screen there, as Nitro Kid was keeping them at bay, and they're continuing to barrel down these turrets off into this bot side. We do now see the Weaver's Wall getting used by Talia to keep off the rest of the team on the side of Tilt Esports as the bot inhibitor goes down. Gumi looking for the angle, does not have the puppet execution this time, and now mid lane inhibitor is going to drop as well. That's 2 inhibs for the dropped on the side of Tilt Esports, and the rest of the map controlled by the side of Apex Black. 40 seconds on this Drake. We're seeing a couple of backs here coming out from the jungle and from the bot lane as they want to item up before this next big fight, which honestly, if anything, if Apex wins it, possibly could be the game.
Yeah, if Apex wins it, could be the game. If TA wins it, it's kind of just sole points for them. And so with the state of their base, TA needs to be very careful, but they don't want to give things away for free. It's a difficult spot to play from right now. Get It White Boy has scaled into a real monster at this stage of the game. Is 2 levels up, might be full build now. I can't see the exact items, but is nearing full build. Of basically a full item up over his counterpart. And we saw there when the Tristana jumps in, Kaisa just kind of melts. She's a very short range ADC who needs to commit back in, but if she loses the 1v1 in damage turns, there is nowhere in damage terms, there is nowhere for her to go. And so this Tristana, continuing to be an absolute menace here, was given so much time to free hit turrets, and that's coming back to bite Tilt Esports Ascension here. They still have the pick comp that can make magic happen, but it's getting increasingly difficult as those Shen shields just get larger. The GA is completed, and the timings for the summoner spells are a lot more synced up for Apex because they're playing around these objectives so well. Almost every summoner on their team is up, and so it's going to require a bit of a miracle fight for TA, it feels like, who have kept this game close, but feels like it's starting to get away from them a bit.
at least they were able to turtle off this Baron a little while longer. But right now, Wheelchair Jungle looking at Feldy as their next target. Tristana, though, and able to take out that top tier 2 turret as they barrel into the inhib turret here. Headbutt Pulverize going to land on the Feldy. Tekio looking for a target as the Unraveled Earth comes down, but not going to be able to find the Seismic Shove. Get it, White Boy, now utilizing the bomb to go ahead and chunk down this top tier 3 turret as Feldy is looking for it. But remember, you got 2 people on this team that you got to kill twice. So don't be afraid to go in, and if you use everything up, it might not be enough. Spirit Rush comes out, misses the charm, goes wide as the Paranoia comes down. Public Execution gonna land onto the back line as the Stand United comes down to go ahead and protect. Get it, White Boy. A lot of shielding coming down for him. Cease and desist lands, but even if you kill him once, you gotta remember you gotta kill him again. Get it, White Boy gets the first kill as Kaiser's able to take out Nitro Kid, but now the Weaver's wall comes down, trying to wall off anybody else. Top tier 3 is about to drop as the Nexus turrets are being barreled in by the minions. This is looking like Team Apex's game, but right now, Tilt Esports is still looking to fight a little while longer. Get it, White Boy, being charged in on by Gumi, but he still has that GA. Now he is dominating. You may be exhausted, but it don't matter when you just keep on winning. Triple kill for Tristana. They continue to go in, and the Kaiser is able to take 2 more kills, but it doesn't matter in the face of the Quadra for the Tristana. That is going to be the ace. That is going to be the game, and that is going to be the series. Team Apex Black wins it all.
Get it, White Boy, with a statement game to finish out the series here on the Tristana, absolutely destroying the opposition. Once the mid game rolled around, I feel like that was a player who had a bit of a quieter series, but in this last game was the absolute nail in the coffin, bringing Apex Black over the line with so much protection. You saw at the end there a huge Stand United shield when it looked like Tilt Esports Ascension might have the angle to at least get that GA. The shield comes through and the GA wasn't even popped. It's so hard to fight into this team. I liked what TA did a lot more in this game. It felt like they were bringing that aggression that I wanted. It looked a lot closer. With each game, it felt like they were finding their footing a little bit more, but they never truly found it. And as a result, it's a 3-0 in favor of Team Apex Black.
Say this because I think now I can say it. So before we actually got into the stream, I had said that I PayPal'd each of the members of Tilt Esports to give us a 3-0 series. And now I don't think they're gonna let me cast anymore, guys, because it's looking like I almost really did. But I promise y'all, that's not what happened here. Well, it just looks like that, honestly, Team Apex Black, they just ended up showing up on the day. That's just what ended up happening. As you said, it seemed like each game, though, Tilt definitely gave us like a glimmer of hope. Like, I was really suspecting, honestly, this game to go, I was expecting the series to go full 5 games, to be completely honest with you. It really seemed like on paper that both of these matchups seemed a little bit more even than what was displayed on the Rift, and we did actually start to see it become more and more even as the games went on. But once we got into the game, like, once we got into game 3, we saw the glimpses of what Tilt can do when they get the picks, when they find the right targets, and when they were actually able to get more into that backline. Notice how each game, when Gumi was able to just be like, hey, I can go ahead and get access to your squishies, they were able to be more consistent in the fights, which is why the Cassante worked so well, which is why they also worked out so well. The Embessa worked out actually pretty well this game, even with them falling behind. With that said, holy crap, that was like an insane series to watch. I was not expecting a sweep for the first series for us to be casting here on Conqueror League. So it's actually kind of insane that we did. Some people were calling for like a 1 a.m. type of deal tonight, and instead you guys get a little bit of an early one because Team Apex, they just showed that they had the better hands tonight.
It was a well-thought series from both sides, but I have to agree, Team Apex showed up with the better hands tonight. Sometimes maybe also with superior drafts. I feel like game 1 is one we can chalk up to draft a little bit, but it's a well-thought series by Apex all in all. I don't have too much more to say other than, do you have any picks for MVP in this series overall?
Oh, this one, honestly, if I'm gonna probably say like the most unexpected one, but I would actually want to say either top or support.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, and those are the roles that were a little quieter.
they were quieter roles, but I think that quiet actually contributed a lot to what was going on. Like for example, Nitro Kid, especially on the Alistair, was a very good protective factor for this Tristana, being able to keep the Vi and the Ari at bay with the constant headbutt pulverizers that stopped them in their tracks whenever they wanted to engage on to get it White Boy. He had so much peel to be that ultimate factor of an ADC, and that hyper carry that they needed to be able to win that game out. We saw that quadra kill at the end. And we saw what the Tristana could do. We saw what Tekio could do in the beginning of the game, in the beginning of the series, especially on like that lock, which was absolutely insane to watch. Wheelchair Jungle was definitely a consistent factor for this team, but the Nocturne, I would say, was probably a little bit more on the downward turn for me, at least in performance. But I felt like he was like, yeah, the rest of my team's got this. So even if I'm taking some paranoias that I'm not supposed to be taking, these guys will do it. Don't worry. So I feel like he was just having a lot more fun on that one than it was about just, making some kind of just, hey, whatever plays to try and take. But honestly, if I'm gonna give it the vote, it's to the person who I feel was most stable through all 3 games, and that's gonna be Zazakill. That's who I would probably give the MVP to for this particular series, just because of how stable they were and able to make that top lane be something that was never, like, even with Gumi coming back in certain factors, it was still Zazakill who was there to kind of be that, to be the damage sponge for a lot of these games, and to be that other protective factor that mattered to the rest of the team, whether it was peeling, whether it was staying United Shields, or in general just kind of enabling the team more with even Ornn items, for example, and having that lead consistently, where we saw 3 to almost 4 Ornn items before Gumi was even like 3 items. So it was actually kind of interesting to see how fast he was moving through that, and it enabled his team to be that much better. So I would say give this to the top laner for that one. But I'm seeing some calls for Tekio definitely, and also MVP being the drafts. So that's actually that's a kind of funny way to put it. Their draft definitely was MVP. So with that said, congratulations, Team Apex Black. You guys definitely deserve that win with the way you guys showed out tonight. If you have nothing else to say, Freedom Potatoes, I believe we can go ahead and close. We're actually going to end up sending it over to Conduit Esports. So please, guys, don't go anywhere. Go ahead and support them, as they are also in their playoffs. But thank you guys for joining us tonight on Titan Esports Conqueror League. We will be back next week with the next set of playoffs, I believe, on Wednesday night, as always. So once again, stay beautiful, stay healthy, stay safe. We will see you guys next time, and we are out. Please stay around for Conduit Esports.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing cushion clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?